the finer things in life. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon is so fine, it's even made with white wine. Its original French Dijon recipe adds distinctive flavor to beef, pork, and poultry, salad dressing and sauces, and of course, sandwiches. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon? But of course.
Grey Poupon. It even has wine.
And greetings. Welcome back to Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and today is Sunday, April the 7th, and we are excited to be here with you guys today for our show, What's Wrong with Luxury? And we've got some very special guests here today. In particular, one of a long-standing community content creator here who's been in our community for a very long time, who's been contributed. He and his partner, I shouldn't say partner because they actually have a team of people over at the InfoRunners that have been delivering great information to the community for years and years and years. You guys will know them best for being able to help people fix their fleet, doing a reassessment of what they have, helping them refine it, retool it, make it better, and also making wise decisions when it comes to putting ships together. So we've got the one and the only, coming from way from the land down under, way over there. Execute is here today with us. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Your mic dropped down. There we go. Maybe that was me. Say it one more time for me.
Ooh, thanks for having me.
There it is. Beautiful. I'm still going to steal those red headphones from you one day. But it's good to have you with us. Also joining us today, a couple of my co-hosts are here today. First, we have JadeStarwatcher. Jade, how are you?
I am good.
Yeah, my luxury partner. You doing good?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Just got off my Origin X1.
Is it working? Because I heard it was bugged out. I know Stunner had that freezing thing when you get on it last night. It is still acting up?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? It was working fine before. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. And last but not least, the one and the only, the Grey Poupon man himself, fastcart FC. How are you, FC?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show, and I love that opening commercial, Griffin. Well, I should have expected it, but you made me laugh.
Well, you are probably the only person on this panel that may remember that, because I know Execute's not as old as we are, and I know Jade isn't as old as we are. So why don't you tell people what that commercial was, Fastcart, from back in the day?
I don't even know what year it came out, but it feels like the 80s. It was a Grey Poupon. It's supposed to be like an upper class version of just regular mustard. It's just mustard, but it was higher class of mustard.
It's a Dijon mustard with wine in it. What are you talking about? It's just a plain old mustard. What are you talking about? We got to kick you off the show. You've already stepped down from the luxury level already.
They had wine in it. Do you actually believe them?
Yeah,
this is the 80s
it was made with wine. It was made with wine. No, actually,
it's box wine.
Yeah, box wine. As long as it's wine, right? Execute. Well, here's the deal, guys. We are going to have some fun with this show today. And I did open up with that commercial for a reason, because someone would think that something as simple as mustard. Why would anybody ever decide to look at that and say, "Oh, this is luxurious"? But there are distinctions and why people like certain things over other things. So we're going to be talking about that today. Right off the beginning of this show, as you guys know, it says, what's wrong with luxury? This is kind of a dual entendre, a dual meaning, right? Part of this is it's going to be talking about what we people who like luxury ships, what is it we see that CIG has done? You often hear us, have fun and laugh and say how much we love it, but we do have our own critical ideas about how the ships are created, how they're made, how they're laid out, what their function is, what their possible function will be in the future. But then we're also going to be talking about game players' feelings about luxury, because this is kind of a new thing for someone to say, oh, there's a game with luxury. What does that concept mean? What does it mean? What does it mean from CIG's standpoint? But also, I'd be really curious to see what you guys think when you hear somebody say, oh, there's some form of luxury gameplay. So that's going to be kind of where we are. So since Execute is our guest here today, we're going to kick off with him and let him talk about, to him, this whole idea of a luxury career, his concerns, his views on it. Because again, I've played a lot of games and I've never known anything that had a quote unquote luxury career. So Execute, let's hear what you've got to say. What do you think about, or, the title, What's Wrong with Luxury, as far as you're concerned?
I'm always really weird with this stuff because I always want to discuss things. I don't want to grandstand and just talk. But like I said to you guys before the shows, I kind of want to start on what is luxury. And I think that's a little bit like comedy in a way. Like, so comedy is an opinion.
Thank you, Huck Finn.
And yeah, so long story short, I think luxury means different things to different people is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And some of the things I've wrote down here is like, you got someone that's like Old Man Hurston that probably likes the antique style, you know, like the royal family or something like that. But then you've got some like, you know, modern hipster as an example, and he wants more modern or very technologically advanced stuff. So that's a very wide gamut there right away. And what I keep kind of coming back to when I think of where CIG is going, and this is the first question I'll kind of put to you guys, is I think it's customization. That's really what I'm starting to feel like what their version of luxury is now. Yeah, I'll put that out to you guys, and yeah, just let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Were you going to say fastcart? Were you going to say something?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, was it Jade? I heard somebody's mouth open.
Yeah, I just opened my mic. I disagree that it's customization. I don't feel like, I mean, that will be part of luxury, definitely, right? And we've seen it already with what they did with the 300 series when they did the rework. But I think it's beyond that. One of the things that both Hurston and the hipster would have in common is they don't want to live in a submarine, right? They want space. And in space, even space itself is considered luxury, right? Like if you look at the International Space Station, nobody would say it's luxury, right? And it's highly customizable, right? So like, I think customization, yeah, that's definitely something I look forward to, especially interior customization, which we don't really have right now. But I think it goes beyond that. It goes to, you know, having space for whatever aesthetics you want, whether it's like very old fashioned or modern, whatever. It's not living in a submarine with no windows, right? One thing we've seen on luxury ships that CIG's made is there's great views from them, right? And people think, well, you know, why is it only the luxury ships? And I think that may be CIG saying, look, this is how we're going to set these ships apart, is you're going to have great views from them. You're not going to have great view necessarily from a Corsair, but you're going to have one from a 600i.
Yeah. Let me read something. Let me read something to you guys in response to both of you guys. There's something I went and pulled up like about luxury definitions of it, and hopefully you guys will bear with me when I read this. It says, "Is luxury a career?" And it says, "Does the word luxury still strike a chord with you? What feelings does it evoke? What does it mean to you? When done well, luxury to me means ease, marvelousness, and a deep commitment to beauty. To never appear or feel rushed or frazzled. It's living and being treated as if you are always exactly where you're meant to be at all times. Marvelous and gorgeousness with no confines, unapologetic enthusiasm for the grand, and utmost quality in the markedly superior." I think on what both of you guys said, I think in particular, execute your piece about it being subjective, I think is definitely true, because there's a person who will look at a Maserati and someone who will look at a Rolls Royce or a Lamborghini and a Rolls Royce and see two different things, even though they're both considered high-end vehicles, right? To Jade's point, when it comes to going into space, or even when we build ships now, even if they're ocean-faring ships, space is always a factor when creating something for function and flow. But the problem is that the reason why things are so compressed, particularly in going into space, Jade, as you just mentioned, is because every inch of space costs a certain dollar value, right? Every inch of space, even if it's taking off and going into space, you have to get the weight down. You have to make sure, you know, you don't have the quote unquote luxury of having all this space. You don't, even what you want to take up in space, sometimes you can't even take it up because the weight factors are a factor. But when you have the money to do so, those things disappear. It's almost like whatever it costs, do it. That's what I want. So if someone wants to have something that has a big empty space for a freaking grand piano, which is totally impractical and unrealistic, but if they are willing to put the money up to make it happen, then it's the engineer's job to say, this knucklehead wants to actually put a Steinway grand in the middle of his thing. And that's what has to happen. It's because you can afford to overcome what normal practices would say is either even ludicrous or not practical. We were watching a video last night. I was showing some guys a video last night about going to Monaco and the yacht sales that happen every year. And it was interesting while we were watching this to see the amount of ludicrous money they were talking about. Like one guy said, for 7 hours of fuel, when they turn on their yacht to travel for 7 hours, it costs 40,000 euros. That's about 43,000 US, y'all, to refill the tank. That's just for fuel. We aren't talking about operating costs. We're not talking about food, staff, security, any of that stuff. And people would say, 40 grand, you know what you could do at 40 grand? You're going to put that just in the gas tank? But yes, that's the ludicrous side of being able to be at that place. I'm talking real world now. So I think that those of us who are in the game, who cannot be necessarily real world people, except Jade, have all that money. we're translating that. We're translating that into the game. We're taking that feeling that might people say, why would they spend that much money on this? Why would they take an 890 jump out when you can, if you go up and down an atmosphere 3 times, you got to refuel the monster. That's because we can, because we understand. It's not that we're ignorant of it. We get that. We embrace it. But the reality of it is, it's like, no big deal. Where other people would be like, oh, there's no way I'm going to spend freaking this much money. But there are people who will spend $40,000 getting bombs for an A2. And that to them makes sense, right? To me, it's like, I'm not dropping bombs like that. I'm taking my time. So I'm saying, I think it is a matter of subjective, what makes people feel good in the game that they want to do. Fastcart, let me jump to you because I know you want to say something.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned VIP transport yet. I think that'll be like a notable career choice when it comes to luxury, because VIPs don't want to be traveling necessarily in a Drake jet. They may want to be traveling in style. So that's something that our friend Dark Knight 75 is still doing. And people can take their 85. We can get to that later, but I don't want to get specific.
Well, let's talk about that when we get to the
transport. Will be great.
Let's talk about that when we get there, because I want to know who the VIPs are going to be. Because I'm being honest with you, it's okay to have NPC VIPs, but I'm curious if there will be player VIPs. I'm curious to see if that will pop up later on. Okay.
Well, we can talk about it later. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question.
And you're talking about the piano earlier. I think people, you're forgetting, like, after they get out the hot tub, they want to listen to that piano. So yeah, that's a viable thing.
Yeah, hot tub is definitely something that somebody would look cross-eyed at you. Not to mention keeping the water contained, right? Let me ask, and this is honest questions here. I'm gonna go back to Execute for a moment. When you first heard luxury, and I want your honest answer, what was your initial response when you heard people talking about luxury in a space game? Execute first. Mm-hmm.
You can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. How are you going to
make it happen?
Create the ambience that has done that? And I think we can all agree that they have learned that over time. Like every ship they've done, the next one's got better and better. And there are, like, if you want to give not critical, constructive feedback, we can obviously look at the older designs and go, yeah, there's some issues there. But it is hard. Like I would struggle to sit down and plan out something really luxurious, because as I said, it's also an opinion. Like if I happen to like pink velvet and you prefer black leather, like you're at a standstill. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It is
right.
Like some people like leopard, Austin Powers leopard print bed things, and other people want a pool table, and someone might like a ping pong table, right? They're low key,
right.
So it's really different.
Okay. That is the difference between nouveau rich and regular rich, okay? Old school rich, okay? That's what that is.
FC, what about you? When you first heard this idea of luxury, I mean, when it first came up, not since our conversations, but what did you think about that?
I didn't really give it that much thought, because I was like, oh, interesting. That's luxury in a game. That's the first time I've heard about it. Just like you said, I was like, oh, interesting. I never heard of that. So I thought it'd be cool, but it wasn't something I was necessarily interested in. I thought I see myself getting into. But later on, as I saw it slipping, I was like, oh, okay, I can see this. Cool.
Okay, Jade, how about you?
Well, I come over from Second Life, so this is not a foreign concept to me, having luxury
it's
in a game.
It's the only game I can think of that we probably played that had some form of what would be luxury. I hate to say it, that you could, because you could create it. Right.
And so, Chris Roberts often calls it Space Second Life. It made sense. We had a ship like the 890 jump that was like a social space, a flying social space, right? As far as the materials, CIG's explained, like in lore, like the glass is diamond laminate, right? That's why you don't have ships full of these big windows.
Mm-hmm.
Wood on ships, that's considered luxury too, because it's it's not something that I guess is very common to be used in building these ships. So like all those things visually, like those are supposed to be luxurious in the Star Citizen universe. All that matters to me is that it's internally consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask how it worked in Second Life? Because I didn't play it. So like, was it a materials thing? Like, what was it the makeup of the components?
Well, I mean,
and stuff. Or
yeah. So Second Life is it's not a traditional game. It's more like it's this
world.
This world, right? It's a social interaction place, right, where you can make games in. It's a sandbox. You can make games within Second Life, right? It's still going on after 22 years, I think.
Yeah.
But luxury was like, people would pay all this money for a luxury mansion, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And they would actually have like real architects design, the interior spaces, and
it looked like a mansion. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It was, and we're talking about people spending real world money too.
Real world money for these luxury spaces. And so, like I said, coming from that, I got it right away when I saw it. The other thing about luxury in Star Citizen to me that appeals to me is that when you look at Star Citizen and you look at the people that are attracted to the game from different sci-fi franchises, a lot of from Star Wars, but then there's people that come from like the Star Trek universe, and to me the luxury ships in Star Citizen are the only ones that have that like bright, optimistic future like vibe to them, right? So that's the other reason I'm attracted to them.
I know, and I'll tell you something how I was when we got the brochure. When the Phoenix came out, and to your point, Execute, you remember the original Phoenix, right? The very first version, right? I said, this thing is gaudy as all get out. I didn't feel luxurious. I felt like it was half strip club, half, I don't know what it was, but it was just something about it that didn't resonate with me. Chrome, glass. What were you going to say? You felt like what?
I felt like it was a $125 downgrade at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't that crazy about the design. I was curious about the concept of luxury, but when I saw that ship, it just didn't grab me, and I didn't. It wasn't even like
Origin. Like it was just like some budget tier option stuffed in.
The Phoenix just didn't grab me. Now later, when they redid it, it grabbed me a little bit more. But what grabbed me was when we first saw, and I saw the 890. I was like, okay, it was all concept art. But when they put out the brochure for the 600i and Jade, you said this a second ago. Remember they did that whole breakdown of the quote unquote materials that were made up within the ship, the different types of stone, wood, metal. Psychologically, that was what, to your point, Execute, that's what made it luxury because it was in here. Obviously on the screen is one thing, but there's something in there that resonated with me that said, okay, this ship is made differently than other ships in the game. And it's not even a matter of, I don't use the word quality, but I'm saying what they're simulating is that this ship, there's something about this ship that's different from me riding on a MISC ship or a Anvil ship or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I appreciate everybody's thoughts on this. The fact that especially, I'm glad you said this earlier, Execute, about the subjectiveness of it, because I wish and I hope, Execute, I don't know if CIG will ever get there, but one of the things I said a long time ago, when NFTs were coming out a few years ago, and people were saying, man, CIG, man, if they had NFTs, I said, you know what? If CIG allowed me to buy my ship, pick my color, pick my interior, and everything else, I'd buy it as an NFT. I said, but the fact that those ships all look the same, my 890 looks like Jade's 890. As you mentioned earlier, I need something that makes it feel more me as the owner of that ship, that's customized, and I feel like my hand is on it.
Yeah.
Even if it meant changing out that big freaking sculpture in the middle, give me 8 different versions of that sculpture instead of that one. You know what I mean? That
you've literally come full circle to where I said I think it's about customization, and I probably got ahead of myself there, but I think you kind of come around to where I'm at now because you need to be able to choose what is your form of luxury.
Yeah.
Do I put a holographic Do I put a holographic statue of fish, or do I put the statue of David in the middle?
Yeah.
Do I have a pool table or a ping pong table?
Yep.
Do I have wooden floors or marble floors? It's everyone's different choice, and that's what I keep coming back to with Origin. We are just seeing this one state, but we know that they're going to put those states in those different materials eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like I said, right now, I just did this recently too, Jade. I put my piano in my Phoenix instead of the conference table. I was like, oh, it works. This was so great. Anyway, go ahead.
Chopsticks.
Yeah, right.
Play chopsticks.
Go ahead, fastcart.
So how do you feel about the 300 series? Because you can customize that to a certain extent, or
yes, that was but that type of customization is coming with all ships eventually. Don't get me wrong; it's nice to have a coffee maker and stuff, but I think Execute's talking about something that has way more to do with aesthetic style, so that the ship has an identity that belongs to me. You know. Even if there's 8 different statues, Jade may have one in, but there's going to be something different in her ship that's different than mine. You know what I mean?
Oh, you know what's going to be mine? I'm not going to have a statue in that space. I'm going to have the dance floor.
The dance floor.
They have the 890 jump commercial, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay.
And the question is. And the question becomes, how much would you be willing to pay for that customization?
Oh, they'd get me. I'd be a sucker in a heartbeat. They'd get me.
Me too.
They'd get me.
There is no limit.
There you go. And I hate to say it, that's the mentality aspect of it for us. Is that
if you think about a lot of the luxury stuff today, a lot of them, like you'll see like a green Ferrari or a yellow Lamborghini or the Cybertruck. Like they try to make something that's flamboyant and bold and it stands out. We had the example in game of the 400i. Like that is like I call it the ugly duckling, right? Because it's different, but that it stands out. Like that is the first time I went, right, they are starting to learn what this shit is, right? Because it has to stand out and make a statement.
Distinctive.
You look at the 890 jump gets a little bit there, but the 600i it's a bit fat and a bit weird. It needs. It's
okay. It's okay. No. Here, I'll tell you what. It's funny. We laugh about this Execute. People tease me all the time and call the 600i the flying bedpan. Right, which is
I don't mind the stuffed pig, but it does look like a flying bedpan.
But I'm gonna tell you something though, and Jade's heard this story before. I got to tell them the story, Jade. We were at VerseCon, right? This was in 2017, and that's when they showed the commercial for it. And I love the commercial. Started out with the violins and the lasers and all that stuff. But I'll tell you this: that is the only ship I ever bought where I didn't see the inside of it, the brochure, or anything. As soon as I saw that ship, it grabbed me aesthetically. I love that design. And I know that for some people, that design is a way out design. But again, it wasn't even about luxury at that time. All we knew was this, they didn't show us interiors or anything. I just saw the thing and I said, boom, here's my money. That's the only ship I've ever done that with since I've been in Star Citizen. So to your point, it's a matter of what speaks to people. Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, when I saw it, I said, this is the only ship that looks like it's from the 30th century.
It does look like it's from another century, that's for sure. Okay, listen, we're going to jump in because we had a great opening for this. Let's start talking about some of these. And again, guys, we're talking about the things that positives, but we're also going to have some things about, I guarantee you, almost everything here, we're going to have something to say, so let's go ahead and start hitting those one by one. Let me change this. Let me go. That's the wrong thing. Pushing the wrong buttons here. I think we got to change. Okay, we're going to hit the very first one. We're going to start out real easy here. This is an old concept. Remember, some of you guys remember this is the early concept of what we saw for the X1. There's no X1 commercial, so we're just showing this to you guys right now so you have a visual to know what we're talking about for those of you who may not be familiar with the different vehicles and ships. Let me start out with Jade this time. Jade, your thoughts about the X1, is what's wrong with it? What's good with it? What would you like to see with it?
Well, I would like to see a few things. I do feel like the original concept had a sleeker look to it than what we've got in the game now.
It thickened up like a lot of stuff does, like the Carrack did. It thickened up a little bit and snubbed up too, right? Didn't it snub up?
Yeah, and so when you thicken something, if you want to maintain that same kind of, it almost had an aggressive profile in the original concept, then you should lengthen something. Like what they could do to me is shorten the rear and lengthen the nose.
Let me ask you a question. What if they were, what I wish they did, to your point, was that gun, I wish it retracted. I think anything that's on the luxury end needs to. I hate when the guns are like on the 600i. I can't stand that the guns are stuck out there. I wish they went into the body of the ship. I wish this one pulled back. You know what I mean? Then you could get the length you're talking about.
I was getting to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Just what you said there. Nothing's, like ruins the profile of these luxury ships more than having big weapons sticking out of them, right? So, like, to me, that should be a luxury feature, is that your thing looks really cool until you need to fight, right?
Right.
And then everything,
when I look at this, I'm like, why didn't they just make this thing a closed canopy?
Yes.
Right? It could have been the first closed canopy. They went so far with it. Right? They could have made it
keep you exposed to the weather.
And that would have been luxuries, because there are no other closed canopy grav lifts, right?
Exactly. Yeah. FC, what about you? Anything with the X1?
I have to agree with Jade. I like the original concept. I bought a few as an LCI token when it came out, but when it came to, I eventually decided to mount on my vehicles because I'm gonna get them in game anyway. So, but I attempted to keep one of the X1s as I don't want to say Hanger Queen, but I like the concept. But considering what actually came out, I'm happy I didn't keep it, because they changed too much from the concept for me anyway.
Okay.
But as far as with regard to luxury, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but when they came out with the, I don't want to say newer concept or was it like the white box phase, or the white box phase. People were yelling and hollering about the canards. So I'm glad I didn't keep it.
Well, the canards were one thing.
Who are happy with it, I'm happy for them.
Yeah, the canards were one thing. We didn't like the way the seating was. Thankfully, they went back and changed the seating on it. They did keep the canards on the racing variant, but they did take it off of the combat variant and the touring variant. In some ways, like Jade, in some ways, and I know they have to do this with the components. This was all conceptual at the time, but now all the components are external, which is okay. That doesn't bother me that what we're seeing right now isn't in the game, that they've changed it up a little bit. There's just storage in that center area now. I do like the bike. It did turn out nice to me, but to your point, Jade, those compromises that they made for whatever those reasons were the things that I wish were a little bit different on this particular one. Execute, what about you, about the X1?
For me, it's kind of Jay hit the nail on the head. What does this differentiate itself from other bikes? Like there's a normal variant and a racing variant. Why does the normal version exist? You look at the Nox and it's a racer. Like is this just to compete with the Nox? That closed canopy thing is the biggest thing. We always come back to that. It's like literally you're covered everywhere except this tiny gap above your head. Why didn't they just make it slightly taller and make it like a little bubble bike? And it would have put it in line with the G12, which has the same thing, the closed canopy, and that could have been Origin's thing.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. That's right on the head there, Execute. Because to continue that theme, and I think Jade was saying that about consistency, to see that theme continue through, it's what you pay for. That's why this bike costs maybe $15 more than what the other bikes cost for. People can see it in that.
That thing Origin seems to have with a lot of flying safe rooms.
There you
a bit
go.
Over the top, a bit more defensive, a bit more protective.
Yep.
Would have worked for this as well.
Exactly. Good point.
I guess we do technically now have the version that has a shield, and no other bike has a shield, so that does lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think that's the only thing I can look at now and go is the shield, and that'd be the version I'd be buying if I'd be buying the X1, is the one with the shield.
Okay.
Because that's a huge advantage.
Okay.
And real quick question: Do you all think that the luxury tax is real, or how do you feel about the luxury tax?
The luxury tax is. See, it's funny people say that. How can I say this? Most of our ships, I'm not talking about just Origin ships or luxury ships, but most of our ships, we have not seen them in their fullest, of what they're supposed to be. We may see most of our ships at 20 to 30% of what they're supposed to be in their functionality. Let's go to something like the 890 fastcart. The 890 is supposed to have point defense systems built into it, right? To help protect it. We don't have that right now. And so if I'm taking a ship out like that with a group of people, if I know that ship can well defend itself, not get into fights, but it can get out there, and if you're going to come up against it, it can hold its own, it's worth it, right? We're not combat people on that ship, but if that ship has the mechanics and things in it to help me survive, it's worth it. So it's kind of hard to judge, and I'm just picking that as an example. for the luxury tax, but I'm willing to pay. Like Jade and I said earlier, you asked us about the customization. Well, how much would we be willing to pay? We said, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Our attitude about a luxury tax, we don't see that as a luxury tax. It's like, how much is it again? Okay, here you go. You know, that's where we are in our head with that.
I think one little thing you can add too, though, is the John Crew has said that a lot of the ship prices come from components, and these ships do come with better default components than most. You know, they they're usually oversized and essentially overgunned. Like you look at let's just take one, right? The 400i, that is literally a medium ship masquerading as a large ship, but that talks to my whole point, right? You know what I mean? Like you are getting a medium quality stuff, but again, it's far safer than any other medium ship in that lineup because of the way it's been structured. And again, it leads to that flying safe room analogy. You're going out and you're going to be safe, you know, because you've overpaid for it, but you've paid for safety as well as luxury. So it's both. You know.
Okay, let's hit the next one here. Let's take a look at this. Haven't watched this in a good while.
Your first mistake wasn't your last mistake. All the things you said, lies that infiltrated, I bet and I believed them. Nothing left. But the heart it rules the head. You've been gone for so long, my heart breaks, but I can't get enough. 'Cause the taste of you is bittersweet. In a world of make-believe, denying everything we don't wanna see. 'Cause the taste of you is bittersweet. Now the storm has passed, I can see clearly, even though you don't hear me. You haunt me in my dreams, but I'm waking up. I found a way to breathe. You've been gone for so long, my heart breaks, but I can't get enough. 'Cause the taste of you is bittersweet. In a world of make-believe, denying everything we don't wanna see. 'Cause the taste of you is bittersweet. 'Cause the taste of you is bittersweet. 'Cause the taste of you is bittersweet.
Okay, let's talk about the links. Fastcart, I'm gonna go to you first. Chooch, hey, good to see you. Thank you so much for the 400 bits. We appreciate that. Thrakazog, thank you also for that sub. To Carbon Tales Q, what's up, Q? I didn't know you were out there today. And Huck Finn, thank you for the follow as well. Thrakazog, thank you as always. We appreciate you. And Stronkodoc, thank you. That was from yesterday. Thank you for the follow. I'm sorry, that was from yesterday. FC, let's talk about this links. What do you think about it?
This commercial is I like this commercial so much. It's one of the few commercials I had in my screensaver for the wallpaper engine thing. So I constantly see it, but I never have the audio on. So this is my first time hearing the music in a while. And I remember when it first came out, everybody was struck by the music. I'm like, what is this? And back, I think Bushman said, what is this music? So I put the link in the chat for people who want the commercial. But yeah, this is I think. like I said before, I melted all my vehicles. This is one of the commercials and vehicles that changed my mind. I have a link in my hangar, at least one, using a different LTI token, because I like the RSI aesthetic over Origin. That's my personal preference, because it looked great. I know some people may have an issue with being an Ursa converted, but I just love it. So yeah, I think, and the commercial was like, I was almost like you, Griffin. It almost changed my mind, but right at the spot. But I think I took like an hour or maybe a day before I actually bought it.
Okay, Execute. How about you? About the thing about the links?
This is one of the ones I really struggle with, because it is very much what I can say is a role play or a hangout and socialize type style vehicle. And beyond the A to B travel of it, I struggle with the functionality, right? And this is probably a personal thing for me, right? Like, there's obviously everything we're gonna love and hate in the game. Not that I hate it, but I just don't understand it, right? Because to me, I'm like, why wouldn't I take a normal Ursa? Because then I've got added protections and added benefits.
Right.
But again, if I am just hanging out with friends and socializing, and I just want to get out and virtually hang out in space, but can't I also just do that in Discord? Can't I do that while playing another game? Does it have to be this game? So I just find that very kind of a little bit niche to me. But again, I don't understand the role play as well as some other people, and I know some people are really into that stuff, right? So for me, I struggle with this, but I do understand other people really enjoy it. So yes, I do think it needs to be a thing. Right? I'm not dismissing it. It's just something that's just not for me.
Gotcha. Okay, Jade.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can relate, because when they introduced the Million Flight Fighter, that's exactly how I feel. Like, to me, this is what sets Star Citizen apart from other space games. The fact that we do have this space Second Life aspect to it, and that they actually build vehicles and ships that are for that part of the community. I mean, the Star Citizen community is broad and diverse. There's people that want to do all kinds of things, and this is part of it. And so I'm glad that they're not forgotten. Role players, people who make machinima, like, people that they just want a second life in space, and this is their luxury vehicle that goes with their luxury ship. As far as the links itself,
let me ask you a question. Do you think that luxury will be, and I want to be careful how I say this, Execute's version of the Ursa, I see for those people who are living out on the perimeter, right? They're doing combat, they're doing industrial, they're doing all types of stuff, right? Is the person who has the links, and this is an exclusive, mind you, but is the links applicable to the person who happens to be in Terra, or in a zone where things such as worrying about combat or conflict are much more minimal, right? Because I don't know if I want to ride around in an Ursa on Terra, you know what I mean? But I do want to ride around on the links in Terra. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you think that maybe that's a part of the dynamic of role play, and depending on where you live, that could even dictate something as simple as what ship or vehicle you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, we were talking about Terra, and in my case, I would think of like Cassell.
Cassell, yes,
system,
right?
Right?
Yeah.
But we don't even have to go that far. We can look at New Babbage and Stanton, and when people have like a ballista or an Ursa sitting outside, it clashes so much with what that city is looking like and what it's supposed to be about. It just doesn't fit, right? And like, for Execute that, but that doesn't matter, right? But for some people it does. They want to have something that fits the place where they are, and that it looks cool in their screenshots or their videos or whatever. But onto the links itself as a vehicle, I almost feel like this is RSI throwing down the gauntlet to Origin, because I feel like that the G12, which we're going to get to, I almost feel like it's going to underwhelm compared to this. And I started feeling like,
speaking blasphemies. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I started feeling like this is going to be the vehicle that's in my 890 and my 600i, not the G12.
Oh God! Hey, hey, expat Brad, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome Raiders. 173 cool people coming over to hang out. Thank you guys so much. Exprat, hope you guys had a great stream, looking around the world in the way that you do. Thank you all for joining us. We are the Soul Citizens, and we are here having a conversation today about what is wrong with luxury. And we've got a great guest on board. Execute from the InfoRunners has joined us today from way down under, and the rest of the team is here. And hopefully you guys will be able to stick around. But I hope you guys had a great stream over there today. And thank you so much, Expat, for sending your folks over. Much love to you. So go ahead, Jade. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, that was pretty much it. I feel like I feel like Origin's going to need to do something a bit beyond what the G12 is. And if I were going to recommend something, it would be a luxury rover that's got a logout bed. That's like an Atlas, long duration round exploration vehicle that, now there's a feature associated with luxury and Origin that these other rovers don't have.
That would be interesting.
Have you heard the talk this week about logout beds?
I've heard people speculating based on what was said, but I don't read into people's speculation.
No, it wasn't speculation. It was by one of the CIG devs. They were talking about removal.
It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. No, guarantee you that it ain't gonna happen. Mark my words, y'all. We'll see. Let me talk about what I don't like about the links. I like it in its aesthetic form. I wish it did have a little bit more distinction, fastcart, than the Ursa, because in a way it does just look like a cleaned up Ursa. And that's okay because they're using that frame and they're building out from it. The thing that is, there's so many things they showed in that video for me that raise questions. Execute, like the computer monitors on the side. Are we able to do business as a communication point? What are those there for? We know when CIG puts stuff in, there's going to be a reason for it. We just don't know what exactly. Am I reading my stock report? So there's things like that I'm curious about. Command and control. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Fastcart. They need to make sure the grid works so my bottle of champagne and stuff doesn't roll around in the back of that cart. That's the other thing that drives me crazy about that. Okay. My wine glasses.
Just make sure you're driving dark careful on those bumps.
Well, RSI needs better shocks. Origin will not have that problem. I guarantee you that. Okay. But there are some things like that do frustrate me about it. I've got to reposition things and and that's just me being particular. But I do like it. It does ride well. It's a nice vehicle. It's a complementary vehicle to RSI. Obviously, when this came out, this was one of the things that people wanted to be able to put in their Phoenix, and people have been looking forward to that for a while. So I think it does complement the Phoenix well for those people who are into that type of gameplay. Hopefully, you're not taking your Phoenix and your Lux out to do combat out in the war zone. Hopefully, you're flying that stuff around someplace where you can feel safe and not feel no problems.
It's like Jade said. I'm putting this on my 600i too. So
I'm kind of worried about my cross pollination. I'll wait till the G12 comes out and see if I'll put that in there for that.
Hey, Griff.
Yeah.
The one thing I left out was that my team drove one of these. I was a backup driver.
That's right.
In a Lynx, and we finished 5th in the Daymar Rally after being attacked by pirates, other racers. So it held its own.
It held its own. Yeah, it held its own. Okay.
You can reduce its signature to hide.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, speaking. What?
Also, finally, this is one example of a good VIP transport. If we ever, get to that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Listen, we some of you may have noticed this week that we don't have any commercials running this week. During the last month, we told you guys we were going to do the commercial test and see how commercials worked out. And we kind of didn't really like the fact that it interrupted our conversation. Some of you guys are able to stay on while we're talking, while other people had to wait sometimes 2 minutes, 3 minutes for the commercials to go by. So we're modifying that. So I forgot to tell you about this fastcart, Jade. We are now going to do a commercial break at the top of the hour, and we're at the top of the hour. So it's only going to be a 30-second or 1 minute commercial, and then we're going to come right back. So we're going to test this out and see if it works, and hopefully it works, guys. So we will be back. Yes, it's only 60 seconds long. We'll be right back. I think we will.
Yep, it started.
Did it? Okay, good.
Yeah, we're still on, but it started.
Okay.
60 seconds.
Ad break. break in progress. Okay, yeah, it gives me a counter here and everything. That's nice.
Oh, you see the counter now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, mine says 42 seconds.
Yep, we're good. We've got to chop through these just a little bit faster, y'all. We are only on the second out of 13.
Hey, that introduction conversation.
Yeah, we had a good. No, it was good. It was a great conversation at the beginning. It did go longer than normal. Normally, we were only like 5-6 minutes. We did go long, but no, it was. You guys shared some great stuff. What are you munching on, Execute? You over there eating? I can't believe you're making me mad. we can't hear you. That's okay. You must be muted.
Muted.
Yeah.
I'm muted, so I'm not making noise. But yeah, I'm eating fruit cake. We're on break, man. I got 30 seconds. I'm gonna
that's what it's for. Okay, we're back. 3 seconds. We're back. That's too funny. All right, guys, we are back. Hopefully that felt a little bit better than the other thing. Oh God, Lady Space Patrol said, "What food is that?" Somebody caught you. Somebody caught you. Execute. Okay, gang, we're gonna go to our next vehicle here.
You didn't see nothing.
Which we were talking about, and that's the G12. Let's see. I'm gonna go to Execute on this one. I think. No, I'm going to Jade this time. Jade, let's talk about the G12. Any thoughts on it?
My thoughts are, where's the interior space that the Lynx has, right? That's my concern. Like when this was introduced, I loved it because I loved everything Origin.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the look of the having tires poking out rather than that. I thought it could have looked a lot sleeker if they'd have done it a different way. But the other thing I'm looking at here is that this is the Origin flagship rover, it just doesn't. It just seems like it's not going to have like much internal space. Where's my champagne?
Yeah,
those kind of things. Like now that I've seen the Lynx, it's going to be hard to look at this the same way.
I wonder, Jade, if this is the competitor to the Tumbril versus there will be something later that matches up more for the Lynx, like you were mentioning earlier, something that has a bed. Something that has more room, you know what I mean? Because this still locks with me. If I'm looking for the competitor, I'm not looking at this as the competitor to the Lynx. I'm really seeing it as the competitor to the Tumbril series. And I could be wrong,
Which Tumbril? The Cyclone?
No, I mean, just the Cyclones. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, the Cyclone series. Thank you. But to your point and to Execute's point earlier, one of the advantages to this particular vehicle is the fact that it's enclosed. Anytime CIG is doing these vehicles, and I know there's always trade-offs and everything. So the fact that you don't have to worry about environmental effects is great. But I do worry about this as far as width goes. This thing is really wide. And
can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just make the comment here?
Sure.
This is just like the 400i. It is a Cyclone size, so a small vehicle masquerading as a medium vehicle.
Yeah.
That's another problem.
Yeah, and I would have wanted to put something like this in a 400i. I think it's going to be too wide for it, and I've got that's my concern.
It's the same pad size essentially as an Ursa.
Yeah.
So why would you take this when you could take an Ursa? Kind of going back to Jade's point of the Lynx, the only really advantage this has is speed.
Yeah.
It's clearly going to be faster because you've only got 2 people, not 4.
Right.
And then you look at the actual variants, like it's like, okay, there's another racer. How much more compelling can they make one racer above the other when therefore they're not competitive? So that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
Then you look at the AA variant. Well, there's a Cyclone that does that. So which one am I going to take? The small one or the medium one? I'm going to take the small one, right? So that pushes that out. So the only variant that is left is the default G12. And that is the best variant as far as I'm concerned. But as I said, all it's really got is it's an Ursa with speed and less people. So there is a place for it, but it's really niche.
Yeah, their variance on this is going to be interesting. I'm hoping that... one of the things you said this earlier, Execute, is that CIG learns each time they build something out. Each time they progress, there's evolution of not just design, but also functionality and what really works. And so, and to Jade's point earlier, when she says, there's some concern now with the Lynx, I'm hoping that there is some evolution. And, obviously this is just concept we're looking at. We don't know what all the features are in this particular vehicle, but I do hope that there's something that Origin does produce that competes more, like you said, Jade, on that Lynx Ursa side, and that this remains kind of the competitor that goes on with the Cyclone side. FC, what about you? What you got?
Yeah, one of the variants does have cargo, which is a advantage over the Lynx. But other than that, I have to agree with y'all. One of the things I don't like about the G12 is that how the wheels stick out. It seems like a vulnerability. Like it feel like I don't know how sturdy or fragile those things will be, but it seems like it easy to fall off.
Fragile. This is high quality materials. What are you talking about?
Sure. Yeah, you'll see. Wait till I hit a rock.
Hey, watch and see.
Also, before you talk about having a bed, this looks like the design they have on the screen is too small to have a bed, in my opinion. But if they redesign it, who knows?
I don't want them to redesign it. I want something like Jade said that actually gives us space.
Yeah.
Because even if you put something in here, it's going to be tight. I don't want this to be like a freaking Aurora where you've got this little square in the back and you get in it. I want something that actually has room in it, you know?
I think it will have room because again, it is a small vehicle masquerading as a medium. But I also think if you look at other staples of Origin, it is that flying safe room again, or when it's a ship. But I think it's the same thing with this. I think this thing is essentially over-engineered, and it will be very protective. And I think the closed cab speaks to that as well. You know, like if you really want to go into somewhere and be safe, that is what it will have over the Ursa because you'll also have speed. So if you do get in trouble, you can get in and out as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
And that also may be the difference with the Cyclone, so to speak, like as in the AA variant. You can get out probably. I expect this is going to be faster than the Cyclone, believe it or not.
Okay. Alrighty.
Again, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to move on here.
Waiting.
Yeah, we're going to move on to this next one here. Another commercial. This is actually just video. The Kruger P-72, most of you guys are familiar with this ship as well as even more the P-52, the Merlin. This is the Archimedes. And we throw this in here because this is kind of a deluxe version of what the P-52 is. So I'm going to go to fastcart first on this one. No, I'll go to execute first. I'm sorry this time. Execute, any thoughts about the Archimedes? This is a parasite ship to the Phoenix, the RSI Phoenix.
This is another really hard example of how do you really differentiate what luxury is, because literally it's a single seat snub. And all I think it comes down to between this and the Merlin is really a couple of hard points and components. And so basically it's almost like a variant, as in it's not really a whole new ship. It is, you know, but can't I take those components and put it in the Merlin? You know what I mean? So it's a skin and a paint job. This is the thinnest form of luxury that I've seen.
So are we looking at like Honda going to Lexus kind of thing more than anything? Same manufacturer, but just stepped up a little bit with the features?
I don't know if you have it in America, but here in Australia, we have a company called Coca-Cola and a company called Kirk's. They're actually exactly the same company. So they sell... if you buy a bottle of Kirk's lemonade, it tastes identical to Sprite because they're made by the same people. It's the same thing. It feels like they've just put a different coat of paint on it and gone, oh yeah, this is the gold toilet seat, you know, and it's a little bit like how I feel about Lynx. So I'd actually almost put this question back to you. What does make this more luxurious than the Merlin? And I can't see it because this is the narrowest it gets for me.
Yeah, this is... It is narrow, and I think it's been more of a taking of a class type of ship if we're looking at something that we would utilize, and because of its association with the RSI Phoenix, that we would kind of say, because if you put a P-52 in it, it's probably more of an aesthetic side. There are, like you said, there are a couple advantages, the hard points on it. I think it might be a little faster too, if I'm not mistaken. I mean a little, it's not a big difference, right? Because these snub fighters are really, really fast in the game. But I think that's about it. I think it has leaning more toward aesthetics, but that's what I think.
It loses that massive gun, so it really goes from combat to racing essentially. But you do gain the speed because you don't have the weight of the gun.
Right.
So, yeah, you're not wrong in that regard.
Jade, what about you, Archimedes? Did we lose her? She might have muted. Fastcart, I'll go to you. We'll come back to Jade. There she. Okay. Sorry. Okay. No worries.
So I would agree that would execute that it is the thinnest version of luxury. I mean, it comes down to like the interior of it, right?
I forgot about the interior.
That that separates it from the Merlin, other than the paint job, and not having the center gun like that. It does look sleeker. So, but that's about it.
It's mostly aesthetic, right? But pretty much just okay. FC, what about you? I know you fly this all the time. What do you?
Right. Yeah, I have to agree with what's already been said. I don't have too much to add to it. I do like the look of it compared to the P-52.
Okay.
It looks sleeker. It looks nice. I don't have one, but yeah, I mean, it's not for me. But I do like the aesthetics of it.
Okay, very cool. All right, we'll move on. We're going to swing back towards our manufacturer that one of the ones I like, and that's going to be Origin. This is early concept stuff. Some of you guys will remember this back in the day. This was the early concept for the 85X, which eventually turned into that right there. I think I'm going to go to fastcart on this one. 85X fastcart. Have you ever flown in it, ridden in it? I know this is a different type of ship for you. What do you think?
I have flown it. I owned one for a while. It's okay for flying rides, at least back in the day, but before I got rid of it. But I have to represent the views of the Homeboy Shopping Network. I'm here to show the luxury files how not to get ripped off, because you may want to take this to like a night on the town to go to the opera or play or something like that. Make sure you're careful who you drop this off with the valet. They can just change their suit, so you can come out of the play and find out that the inside has been trashed, or you have like a quarter of your fuel left. So be careful who you leave it with.
Okay, fair enough. Execute.
I always compare this to the M50. Why isn't it just a variant of the M50 with 2 seats? Because, like, again, for me, it's an A to B vehicle. It's a shuttle for the 890 jump to ground to that. But again, if they just made the M50 2-seater or vice versa, I just think they're so close to each other that it's almost a double up. It's really strange to me. To the fact that even if they added, like, say one of them was by RSI and one of them was by Origin, but the fact that they're both by Origin is just really strange to me, because they're just so damn close in every regard. I know you've got some modularity in the engines of the M50, but again, like, they're just so close. Like, they're even in a very similar price range and similar size. Like, it just feels weird.
That's interesting. And that's an interesting perspective. Okay, no, that's an interesting perspective. Jade, what do you think about the 85X?
I couldn't disagree with Execute. Well, this has nothing to do with the M50. This, I mean, to me, this is the cutest ship in the verse. Period. Right. Every time Coremore comes around, I keep hoping that they give it a Coremore version. Right. Yeah. It's perfect for that holiday. And so for me, this is a runabout. This is not a racer. It can be used in racing, but the M50 is straight up a racer, right? This to me
is up there.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing though? But couldn't you make a variant that's not a racer of the M50? That's what I'm trying to get at.
But what would be the point?
You could, See,
there's no point.
Can I say this? I think that one of the things that I didn't like that CIG did when they made this ship. You remember? Maybe both of you guys, or three of you guys, may remember. Remember, they compared it to something with racing. Did they say like there was something they've compared this to, like not a Lamborghini, but they used some type of racing car as the comparison to what this ship was supposed to be. Yeah, it wasn't the Formula One thing. That was with the MISC ship. They kept saying like the BMW or I can't remember what term it was.
I'm pretty sure it's tickling a memory back there.
Yeah, but I guess the thing is that. I know what you're talking about. But I guess what I'm saying is that it seemed like they sold it more as something to do with racing to a certain degree, more than they did a touring or a coupe, like a you know what I mean, for getting, or not a runabout, but getting around from here to there. It wasn't until
needs a bit of luggage, doesn't it? Like, to be like, if you're going to shuttle,
it would be. That's interesting. I don't think it has any space.
VIPs and they've got all those bags.
You just brought up a missing thing in the Origin fleet, is that we need an Origin shuttle. This is not
exactly, and that's what I was going to say, because this is what they used with the 890 jump back in the day. That this was supposed to be the shuttling back and forth ship, but even in the commercial, they show the two couple out there, doing their thing out in the asteroids with it. But you're right, Jade. We do need something that's much more like that, that shuttling 4 to 6 people thing, which would be great. What I do like about this, to your point, Jade, though, is that this is a 2-seater.
Yes.
There's only a few 2-seaters in the game. We have to go with the Risk Reliance series. The other thing that this ship is good for, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever used it for this, doing beacons for picking up people.
Yes.
Because you cannot get shot. You cannot get shot in it. You can pick people up. You have to worry about them drawing a gun on you, you know. But I have jumped in this with people before and, said, hey, let's jump in here. Let's use this to get from here to there. When we get there, we'll switch up or get whatever ship we need. I love this ship. It's taken a little while for it to grow on me. It was really rough flying in atmosphere because of the short wings on it. Sometimes if it can get kind of, it's not as stable. But it's better now to fly.
What about the Banu Defender or the Super Hornet or things like that? Wouldn't they do the same job then? Just
nope.
The 2-seater
nope. Why would I want to get in a Banu Defender? Here's the deal. Seriously, I mean, lower, smaller profile. Less people pay attention to me in this than they do in a fighter. If I'm in a fighter going somewhere, there's somebody with an ego out there who's going to try to figure out how to get me. I can get away from anybody in this. That's if I don't want to engage with people. At the time, I don't want to engage. Why?
If it's got that Origin safe room defense thing again, and it's got a smaller signature, yeah, I can get behind that.
That's part of it, but the other side of it is the assumption that everyone in the game wants to engage with people. There are sometimes I'm trying to get somewhere and I don't want to be bothered with you. You know what I'm saying? So if I want to engage, yeah, I'll jump into my freaking Scorpius in a heartbeat. But if I just want to, me and Jade are going somewhere because we want to get somewhere, I could care less. My attitude is shoot at me. I guarantee you're not going to get me in this thing. You know what I mean? Right. That's my advantage.
People need to get out of the mentality that just because a ship has guns that it's a fighter. This is not a fighter. It's not supposed to fight.
I wouldn't even try.
Exactly. The other thing about this ship that I like is that it's got the smallest footprint of a quantum capable ship next to the Pisces.
Yep.
Right. And that matters for things like Jump Town, where you have lots of broken ships outside the entrance and you just need to get somebody in.
Or
right? So
covert movement.
It does have utility that
covert movement too, Jade, right? I mean, you can go out here and put this in a forest and nobody will see it. Yep. Right? Somebody wants to come in. There's a lot of other things that these ships can do. That just for the sake of doing, like I tell people all the time, people with their starter ships, I love flying in my Aurora because most people when they see my Aurora, they could care less about them. They know I'm not carrying nothing. They're not what they're gonna take. I don't have no gold on me or something. I get in that ship. I get in and out of atmosphere fast. This ship, same thing. Same thing I can say about the 100i series. These ships are fast, hard to hit. And all they're there for me is to get me from here to there safely. And I can do that in these ships. Go ahead, fastcart.
The last two things I want to say about the 85X is that I do like the angular concept better than what we have, but I can see why they didn't go with it because it didn't really fit the Origin design language. So
it was more RSI, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do prefer the angular concept, but this would be a good ship as an Uber or a Lyft to transport people around for a charge too. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you kind of knocked it down a few rungs from luxury when you start doing Ubering and Lyft driving, but I'll let you get away with that. I'll let you get away with that. Yeah, it's luxury. You'll get a black version. Yeah, okay, I got you. Right? Yeah, okay. What this sucker needs, Jade, is a paint job. This is a bastard child of the game. There's no paints for the 85X CIG. Y'all got to get on these paints for this ship. Okay, please, we need one paint. Okay, let's keep going here. I said I was going to speed up our clock here a little bit. Okay, 100i series. Jade, come to you on this one.
Yes.
The 100i. We're not going to talk about the whole 100 series. No.
Okay. I love this series. I love this ship. I felt all the time like Origin needed a starter ship, and this is the Origin starter ship. That air system makes it unique among ships in general, but like even among luxury ships, right? I find myself using this a fair amount. If you need a small ship with a logout bed and it looks good, and the commercial for this, I don't know if we're gonna play it, but yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So
okay,
high marks for the 100 series.
FC.
Real quick, I don't have too much to say about the 100i. It's about I prefer the 300i or the 300 series more because it's a slightly bigger ship and I can carry my stuff in it. Other than that, I do like the look of it. It has a luxury look. I can give it that. And the air system, I hope they port that over to other ships, especially an Origin ship. But yeah.
Okay. Execute.
the most expensive starter, $5 more in your advanced starters. So
that's true.
You've got to really like that luxury.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to really want that styling, and it's got to really speak to you. You know, like, and I'm a function over form type person, so for me, it doesn't speak to me. But I know people that own these, and I ask them why, and it always comes down to the way it looks. Like they like that styling and the way it looks.
Yeah.
Like for me, you get $5 and you're in an Avenger, and you can also go into 300 series that's only like $10 more. And for that price, when you've already spent $60, go to the 315p. Like that's got utility. It's one of it's probably one of the best Origin ships in the game from my perspective.
Okay.
Lots of cargo. Utility with the tractor beam, but again, that air system, I know they call it an air system, but that is actually not unique. It is essentially, there are several ships that have got something similar to that. Like even the Durs got it, for an example. And I know it's much bigger, so I will give the caveat of that of the starter ships. Yes, it is very unique. But I don't know. Again, it's got to speak to you, and there's got to be things in this game that everyone doesn't like because we've all got different tastes, right? So I understand why it exists, and I do want it in the game.
And believe you me, let me say this too. I mean, that's the reason why I'm glad you're on here today, because we want people to give counterpoint. I don't want all four of us to be saying this is what's great about this ship. Now, I will say this about the air system. You're right. There are similar systems in the game, but you can fly this ship around. Listen, I have flown this ship around 3 or 4 planets, landed and everything else, and I land back at my base and I don't have to put any fuel in it. It's fueled up. That on the economy side, the economy. Well, no, I'm saying, but I'm just saying that is the economy side of it that pays off when we pay that extra $5 you're talking about. Because that $5 means that's fuel for somebody, where for me, I don't have to pay the fuel, right? Now, my negatives on this ship, it is not luxurious inside at all. It is very bare. It is very bare. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Jay just touched on it earlier about the bed being in there, which is great, but that bed needs to retract. I hate the fact that that bed is sitting out in the middle of the floor, because I do like the fact, Jay, that the components in the storage area are all enclosed and sealed. You don't even see them, which I think is great. There's a little monitor there on the wall. We don't know what that monitor is there for yet, but I just wish there was some other dynamic that made the interior feel that when I step inside of it, there's something distinctively different. It feels very bare boned when I go inside of that ship, but it is my favorite starter.
If you want that, you got to pay more in luxury tax. That's all that is.
Yeah, right.
I would say I think the 135C is where it's at for this, but again, you've already gone into 300i territory at that pricing. So I think it'll be really great little starter smuggling, drug runner runabout, and don't output. Like when I say drug runners, people go, Origin would never do that, but think about what they
perfect ship to do it in. Nobody will think about it.
They do the, what do you call it? They in the 70s they used like really fast speedboats to run rugs from what was it, Cuba to America and stuff like that, as an example. And Paul talks about the 315p all the time. Like he reckons it's one of the best drug runners in the entire game because it's got it's actually got bigger cargo,
big storage cargo areas.
Stuff like, But I think this is where it's going to start. Luxury. Well, they're not going to look at you because you're in this fancy ship. They're going to more likely look at the Drake ship. Oh, he's a filthy criminal. He better scan him. So I think it's a great way to hide it.
Okay, let's take a look at the 300. We're still with the Origins here. We're going to jump up to the 300 series here.
Come fly away, I'll take you on a starlight, head over heels, you and I will fall again, and then through the magic of moonlight, hand in hand, we'll forget about the world and fly from the clouds, just you holding me tight. So high the sky, think I'm nothing almost too late. The star flight with me. Oh, last intoxicating starlight. What else can I do? Whisper I know. Gonna take you on a star flight. Gonna take you on a star
I don't care what anybody says. You may not like CIG's marketing, but they know what they're doing, if nothing else. So let me go to execute on this one. We're going, guys. Just so you guys know, there are 4 variants of the 300 series. We're going to keep it just with the 300i because we could talk about the 25 and the 15 and the 50. But the designs are a little different on those. So since we're just kind of focusing on the touring luxury side, we're going to kind of focus in on that. So execute. Go ahead. What do you want to share about the 300?
Yeah, that was the first thing I was going to say is 315p is where it's at. But yeah, like I've got to compare it to other ships in the area, and it's the same thing that I sound like a broken record at this point. But it comes back to like if you're into luxury, like that, it's going to speak to you. You know, like you look at the 315p, it's that same thing where they're the 300i. It's essentially a starter ship that's kind of over engineered. You have extra protections, extra components. It's a running theme right through Origin, right? So you are paying for the components, you are paying for the luxury. There is a luxury tax there, but if that speaks to you, then it speaks to you, and that's all that matters. You have to like it. I don't have to like it. Type of thing,
You know, there's this comment here, and thanks for putting this in there, Parker. Parker says, "Does luxury foretell a lack of function?" And you know, I think that. To your question, I think it's a very valid question because people would talk about functionality and form. And we opened the show. You may not have been here earlier. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. One of the things is that most of our ships they're not fully realized yet. We don't see all of what's in any of our ships, no matter what manufacturer you have, right? There's no ship that's at 100% where it's supposed to be. And so, yes, there are times when there are people who take function over form, and there are times when people take form over function. And it's a choice, right? And quite often, because of the state of the game and where the game is now, a lot of times we take it from a function standpoint, right? But there are some people who honestly feel aesthetics will help balance that out in some way for them. So in other words, this ship may do the same thing as other ships, but just because of the way it looks. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. When this ship first came out, it had an entirely different design. It had much harder lines. It looked more like a combat fighter. Do you guys remember that? Back in the day?
It was ugly.
Okay, but you do remember it. You do remember it though, right? Okay, and listen, I bought it back then. I thought it was nice. I said, oh, this is cool. I like this 300. It's a little bit different, bigger. It's a better upgrade than the Avenger. Then when they redesigned it, check this out. The ship inside had the same features, the functions didn't change. The aesthetics did. And when the aesthetics changed, there were people who all of a sudden didn't like the ship. Functions didn't matter to them. All of a sudden, it was no longer a quote-unquote combat fighter, and then they sold it, right?
Do you know when this was very first sold? I actually owned it. This is the only time I've actually kind of really owned. So back on Kickstarter, this was included in the package that was called the Bounty Hunter pack. Now, I wouldn't call Origin like a bounty hunter.
Right.
So it shows you how much things for CIG have changed as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah, and Devastator, to your point, like Devastator said, when they did the redesign, they changed it. And there's nothing against that. If it doesn't draw you, if that ship doesn't meet you where you are, no problem. You know, because I don't want you flying around a ship. I like this ship, but I can't stand the way it looks. You know, who wants to fly a ship with that attitude, right? But I'm just saying, you know, even though the ship did not change very much as far as its function, that aesthetic change made many people step away from it because they were looking for something that looked more hard-lined, combat, looking than something that looked more, as some people said, oh, it got smooth and rounded out. They didn't like that design. Jade, what did you think about the 300i?
Well, so I'm one of those people that's the opposite. I had no interest in this ship until I saw them. I think it was like back then it was called Around the Verse, talking about the rework. And this and the two 600i's is what put me over the edge to buying the Origin Everything pack. When I saw the rework of this, I was like, I'm not going to be stuck with 4 ugly ships in that pack. Okay, I'll get the whole thing because now there's consistency in design between, like the 600i.
I felt. Is that the day your mum said you got more money than sense?
With all due respect,
got money and sense.
With all due respect, that sounds like you're just jealous.
I know. Hey, Jade, we're used to the commoners. You know, every once in a while they have to throw a little mud. You know, we know how it is, right?
My mama told me not to say anything bad about it. But no, for real. It is to your point, Execute. You're right. It is an aesthetic choice. This ship doesn't do anything vastly different than any other fighters, right? And in some ways, it's subpar. But just because you're fighting doesn't mean you don't have to look good doing it. And some people, like me, I want something that looks good, right? If I can take it out and it can do the same thing that something else does, I want it to look good because I like that. I want it. A ship to me. When you buy a ship, either in game or with real money, that is an extension of who you are.
Yeah, it's got to speak to you. It's like I can talk about value on InfoRunners till the cows come home, right? Like, but when you're trying to give advice to people, generally speaking, this is why we don't ever get complaints because we at the end of the day is you have to be happy with your purchase. Like we will give you the kind of rules or the outlay of the best value and all that, and then you skew off to where you want to go. And it's the same thing with Origin. Like if you want to skew off into that luxury thing and that just totally speaks to you, but you know it's not the best value, then you go there because that's your ship. That's what you want. And I think you just hit the nail on the head when you said that, Jade. It's got to speak to you, and it's got to be what you want it to be, and you've got to be happy with your purchase. That is all that matters. It is an extension of yourself.
But let me say something about
nobody should ever buy a ship that they're not happy with that purchase.
Right. Let me say this about value too. Value is subjective. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Because the measurements for everybody, some people look at their ships as like today I was out flying and I had the Scorpius and I had tricked out everything in this ship and I put a class 1 type 1 class A military in my Scorpius, which I never really do very much, but I decided to do it. I wanted to go from Hearst into Microtech and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Now, I put the best of what was out there in that ship, but because the fuel efficiency in that is terrible, it's fast, but it didn't deliver what I needed. This is no joke. I went and had to go get a freaking industrial class D to make it from Hurston to freaking, and so if I based it upon, here's the number one, here's the best thing, here's the fastest thing, but it doesn't do what I needed to do.
Yeah. And
at that point, it didn't make a difference if it was the most expensive freaking military drive. I couldn't get to my friends to help them out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so so when I say value, though, I'm talking out of game. There is a value in game and there's a value out of game. So
there is, but here's the deal. If people spend money,
it comes back to you have to be happy with it.
But I'm saying people spend stupid stuff. Like, I collect lightsabers, right? I just bought a freaking lightsaber. Wait, I just bought. We'll have to talk about it later. Yeah, I just bought. I bought a Mace Windu lightsaber, and I know I could buy that thing for like $400. I paid $800 for this thing. Some people think I'm a nut for doing that in real world money, but you know what? I am so happy with it, even though I have other ones that cost less. So I'm saying value can be still somewhat subjective. If it, like to your point, Execute, if it meets people where they are. Look at that. Oh my God. Yeah, we got to talk later. We got to talk later. I just picked up another one a couple weeks ago. But if it meets people where they are, that's what matters. Okay, we're going to speed this before we start our Star Wars conversation up, because then we'll be here for a whole nother hour. Okay, let's look at this one real quick.
Oh, I didn't go.
Oh, I'm sorry, FC. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Speaking of value, I'll try to be quick. How many people in 2014 were looking at it like we're crazy for buying a spaceship JPEG, or now it's so, value changed as the years goes on. But you're talking about how people didn't like the new redesign. I felt that way for the Mustang when they redesigned it. I got rid of my bang stain, but I understand people feel about the 300 series. But I forgot about the Origin 300 commercial, so thank you for showing that. I appreciate that. As far as 300i goes, I like the customization that they offer on the whole series. Gameplay wise, you can just live in a ship, and that'd be a good choice for for that. So yeah, the 300i is a great ship in my opinion.
And let's talk about that real quick, that this was just a test bed for customization, guys, because a lot of people ask, well, why didn't they do that with other ships? This was just something that they were testing, right? The opportunity to be able to customize ships, customize what do you call it, loadouts and stuff like that. Some people liked it, some people hated it, right? Some people didn't like some of the loadout setups because that's for some people, it's very particular about what they want on ships.
If you like it, you didn't pay for it.
Right, but true, but every
test bed other things too, like the naming of ships that was only available on certain things. There's a couple others they've done as well.
So we just want to let people know that don't forget in the alpha process. That's why sometimes when people say, "Why didn't you do that for everything?" It's because once again, sometimes they select something just to test out the idea of what's going on. To your point, fastcart, the loadouts unfortunately were not customizable. And what I mean by that is the paints, I could pick what I wanted. You know, the interior, the seat. But when it came to the loadouts, you couldn't, there was different ones, but they were forced. You were forced on having to take certain things. And I think that's probably why if they'd allow people to say, here are the items you can pick from and create your own setup, then I think people might have felt a little better about it. But some people went with them.
I just ignored the loadout stuff.
I did too.
I got to work when it came out with the food processor, the clock, and everything else.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, you know what I hope they do with that clock is now that we have in 323, you can see the rise and sunset.
Yeah, I could tie it in. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Clock in so that when you land, you know what the
time is. That would be cool. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the next one.
You could kill the timing game.
Across the impossible expanse, a mirage calls, a distant oasis. We chase what most consider myth, pursue an obsession. That's what pushes us to greatness. The oasis. It's real.
Shimpasta.
The 400i by Origin Jumpworks.
Okay, FC, I'm going to come to you on this one. 400i.
I'm going to steal Execute's line and say this is a medium ship masquerading as a large ship. I like the line Execute, and it fits the bill really well because I think they could have done a better job with space, interior space, and the outside space as well on this.
Really? You think the interior space could have been better?
The hook, I mean, like I know how they made the hook bill in the front. If they made that wider, they could have had more interior room.
Okay, that's interesting.
Making a hook bill.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so the 400i, I saw it. I looked at it. I'm like, not for me. I'm gonna pass on that one. But that's just me. The aesthetic on this one. I mean, the interior looked fine, except for it could have been bigger. But the outside of it, no.
Okay. Okay. All right, Jade.
Yeah. So, of course, I love this ship. But what I loved most about it was, to me, it felt like it was the first Origin ship that a lot of people in the community, people that don't even like Origin, like, I want this ship. And I think it was because of how it was introduced during CitizenCon when they were showing us Pyro and, Pyro 3. And they used that ship, and it had the... I forget the name of the paint job, Penumbra, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Nauru Starfighter look.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that this was the ship that finally got a lot of Origin skeptics on board with the brand. So I like it for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. Execute.
The Ugly Duckling. This is, I think, the first ship that really kind of spoke luxury to me. It is flamboyant. It stands out. It makes a statement. It's different. I think they really nailed the interior. It's actually got a function that no other ship has currently got, like with the thermic controlled cargo area. It is a little bit like glamping, if you know what that is. It's where they have that luxury camping stuff. It does feel like that weekender camper type of thing. But yeah, again, it's the first Origin ship. I actually kind of went, right, they're starting to learn what they're doing now, and it's moving forward in a positive direction. And if they can take that back and add it to like the 600i rework, and I think the 890 needs it as well, they'll be on some winners.
Okay,
they're learning. It's a positive takeaway.
Okay. Yeah,
I would rather have the flying bedpan design than the 400i bedpan, but that's me.
There's
again, see, it doesn't speak to everyone. It's an opinion, like I said.
Yep.
Right back at the beginning.
For me, Jade, I'm like you. In some ways, I got a little jealous when the 400i came out, because all of a sudden there were a lot of people who said, "Ooh, the 400i is so great," blah blah blah. And these were all the Origin haters in the earlier days, you know. So I was like, okay, y'all stay away from Origin. But no, I was glad to see that people did receive this, and I think there's some dynamics as to why people receive this one better. And to your point, Execute, they've gotten better and better with design. It is when it comes to the functionality of this ship, everything is within reach, right? There's no long hallways, corridors, empty spaces. Things seem to be in good places where they are. It offers the cartography area. Now, the one thing that does intrigue me about this ship is that it offers some things that we don't know about yet, right? The area where the components are, they are refrigerated. They're coolant areas. Some people saw that and said, "Oh, it's a waste of space." I'm like, no, not if they make it. There's a reason for it to be here. We don't know why CIG decided to put that in there just yet.
I think it means that there's a whole bunch of cargo ships coming that we don't even understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
climate control is a factor.
You know how they talk about the biopods on the Endeavour and being able to grow plants.
Yep.
But what if you've got to move a certain particular plant or animal, or it has an atmosphere? It's a rare monkey. You want to move from A to B, and it needs like a silicon-rich atmosphere or some shit. You know, how are you going to recreate that? You know, is it a certain drug or medical thing that's a highly valued resource that will die if it's not
kept in the cold
atmosphere?
Yeah.
You can see where this is going pretty quickly. Like there's just so much that we don't know.
Exactly.
And at the moment, we only know is with it when you put in a refrigerated cargo container, the refrigerator takes up a part of the cargo, right? But having it so you can make the whole ship take just that cargo brings the cost down and gives certain advantages. There's definitely ships that we're not coming, even in Origin itself. When you look at the style guide, all the ships we have right now are high design, but Origin sits halfway between high design and commerce. Where are all the commerce ships? Origin.
Right.
So we know there's shit more. Loads
that's going to be coming.
Origin,
yeah.
And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. When you guys, for those of you who haven't done this in the 400i, next time you get in it and you go up to the floor where the components are, when you go in that room, you'll see that the temperature does actually drop like 30 degrees Celsius when you go in there. There's a purpose for that. What it is right now, does it mean that your components won't overheat? Does it mean that you can do something later to Execute's point? There will be things that we just don't know yet, but I think that these are the things that raise why the value of these ships are what they are, right? But we have to wait and see. Like I said, we haven't seen the fulfillment of what these ships are supposed to do, and I think that the bang for the buck will show up later on. But a lot of people do like this ship as the versus, you know, when it first came out, I think they tried to compare it to a Connie, something like that. But a lot of people see this as distinctively its own thing for people who want to do, if they're going to do exploration in any ship that's an Origin, there are more people that lean toward this than they lean toward the 600i for now. And we're going to jump right to that subject next after this in a couple seconds.
I was going to say, it's in the middle ground, and I did buy one of these in game and fly it around for a patch, and I must admit, it was a really great little A to B vehicle. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Flies really well, which is what you'd expect for a high performance vehicle like Origin.
Good, FC.
I just want to say 4-4 win.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Jade and I have always had these dreams about the 400i and the 600i and even the 890 jump, right, Jade? We want to see these converted so that they go on water. I still want to see that happen. I still want to see that happen in the game. All right, let's jump over.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Jade. Go ahead.
They mentioned it for the 890s, so like, why not?
They're designed for it,
like nautical, vessels, right? Yep. So go ahead, give us some buoyancy.
If they give us some buoyancy, that extra money will pay off to me 10 times over. All right, let's jump into RSI fast cart.
Can you imagine it? Can you imagine if they made like a little Origin? So instead of the X1 that goes into the 400i, but it's like a little jet ski or something.
Oh,
that you could land.
That'd be cool.
And then you know what I mean? That'd be sick.
That would be cool. Yeah. All right, fast carts. Back to your RSI people. Here we go. This is just going to be, you know what? Oh, I forgot. This is an actual episode. So what we're going to do is just let this run in the background while we talk about it. I feel good. Mad Style, good to see you. Thank you, Mad Style. Bear with me here, gang.
Content manager.
I have put a thing in here for this to jump to where the.
And we've got.
I put a thing in here for where the.
You're messing up over here.
I know I am. I know. All right, so we're gonna pick it up from there. Let's talk about the Constellation Phoenix. I talked to. Where'd you go? Fastcart disappeared. Did we lose our stream? We did.
No, the stream is still live.
It is?
The stream is still live.
But you and Execute's cameras went dead for some reason.
I'm getting full robot.
And I've lost you in OBS. I've lost you in OBS Ninja too. Hang on a second. Hey gang, hang on guys. We're going to see what's going on here. Did my internet die?
Okay. Okay, now the stream is dead. The stream is dead.
Yeah, it was dead a second ago. That's what I was telling you. Hang on a second. OBS, it might have been my internet here or something. But it says we're still going. Reload player. Yeah. It's reloading. Okay. Everybody's there.
Same thing happened on Thursday. No, okay.
That was weird.
Hot freeze on Thursday.
Ooh, that was weird. That was Mad Style's fault. He sent us a subscription. That's what it was. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Tattoo Steph. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. Hope you guys can see us now. Hopefully we're back. Yes, we are back. Thank you, Expat. Okay, so we're talking about the RSI Phoenix now. Jade, give me some thoughts about this. I mean, you were around back in the day. You've seen this thing kind of grow from what it was originally, and now it's this. Pros and cons on the Phoenix.
Pros on the Phoenix is that it gives luxury to the RSI lineup. So people who really like, RSI's aesthetic and styling and like the Constellation series, they have a luxury option. So that they're not forced into Origin. Cons on it, I always felt it felt forced to me. Like they were putting lipstick on a pig, right? Like I just never felt that this ship was very luxurious.
Okay.
It felt more like, I don't know, a stripper club that's flying than like a luxurious ship. Yeah, it's to me, the best thing about it was the piano, but you only got that if you, I don't know, I think you had to be a backer like when it first released.
Yeah, on concept. Yeah, you got it on concept. It came with it in concept.
Yeah, you had to buy it on concept.
We've got it. Do you know how you get one? You become expat, and people throw them at you for free. She got given one for free.
You know what?
Oh wow!
We're gonna exchange some words after the show.
I wish. I wish.
I don't disagree with everything you've said there. I actually think this needs the Buccaneer treatment. And what I mean by that is when they had the Cutlass and the Buccaneer, they stripped off the Buccaneer into its own ship. I think that's what the Phoenix needs. I think it needs to become its own standalone RSI ship because they've tried to cram too much into the one space and it just does not work. It is almost like what's wrong with the 890 jump as well, where it's just too cramped and trying to do too much in too much of a confined space. And because of that, it loses the luxury appeal. You want to talk to someone about this ship that will go on and on because he's an RSI fanboy, talk to Algrid. I've heard the speech, I could almost say it verbatim at this point. The fact that you've got to walk through the cockpit to get into the area. That there's only one toilet, it's in the crew area, so that people that are VIPs can't go there. It's just all cramped in and it doesn't work on so many levels. And I think I'll leave it there without going on and on. But
FC?
I think it needs a Buccaneer treatment.
Go ahead, Jay.
Real quick. The one thing I left out, Expat brought it up in chat. The side windows. I wish Origin ships had.
I was going to come bring that up at the 600. Yep, you're right.
Yep.
That's one of the things that is nice about it.
This is why LSI is better than Origin because you have the side
windows. No, that ain't why. Trust me.
But in 2017 or 2018, they had a rework. Josh Kuhn, who is no longer at CIG, but he was in charge of the Phoenix rework, and they had it's either Insect or Citizen or Around the Verse, one of them we talk about the rework, and he talked about how he had to look at different types of wood and panelers and stuff like that to get like the most expensive, the most luxurious feel. So there's a lot of work working into it, but it's all confined to the back half of the ship rather than the front half, because it kept the constellation field for the front half, and that's a disadvantage in my opinion. But someone said, I believe Jay said at the beginning of the show how she considered that the Phoenix looked gaudy. I think that might be because of the hot tub. Is that what it is, Jay? The hot tub makes you feel gaudy?
No, it's not just the hot tub. I mean, that's part of it. I mean, it's not the hot tub.
It's not the hot tub.
It's like it's the sign, like I love that they have the Phoenix constellation, but then like showing it everywhere, right? Like it feels more like you're in, well, like I said, like you're in somebody's club, not,
does it feel a little bit cheesy? Is that why you said stripper club? Because it feels a little cheesy.
Exactly. It feels cheesy. It feels like just forced luxury, not even luxury, forced. This is what we think luxury is, right? Yeah. As opposed to it actually being something that really is high quality. It feels like a cheap knockoff.
Yeah,
well, I have some bad news for you. This is Chris Roberts' favorite ship. So,
well,
I hope he's not listening to me right now.
My problem. Go ahead.
Real quick, like I really want to hide this ship. It's 350 and can't CCU to it, so that's a disadvantage for me. And as far as real life stuff goes, because I had a 600i, but I only paid 290 for it, so I got it for cheaper, and it's a bigger ship. So
the CCUs for this now are astronomical on the grey market price wise. It was $125, and I've seen them go for $600. That's just insanity. Yeah.
My problem with this ship is, I think it's a combination of what all of you all have said to a degree. I felt like it was like they took 6 luxury things and then threw them on the wall like Jello to see where they would land. The layout on the ship is terrible. The windows are the best thing on this ship. And to your point, Jade, if you're traveling, whether it's a transport or luxury, one of the luxurious things to be able to do is look out the window and see space. And it drives me crazy. The 890 has it to a certain degree, but the 600i definitely, they put the one freaking one in the floor, and that's it, right? I mean, if you're not in the cockpit or the back, if you're in that middle touring section, you can't see anything. So I think that, again, this was an upgrade from the earlier version, which was even more cheesier to me. I like the materials they use, the woods. I like the seats on the side, but this would almost be better as a transport more than luxury. You don't need the 4 crew beds in the front. They could have, like, to your point, that middle section fast cart where you come into the ship could have been a place for 2 stewards to be able to, flight attendants to be in.
I think that's the point of the ship actually, for transport, VIP transport.
Well, I'm not sure I even want to say VIP. I could say VIP transport, but it's still a little too, it is VIP transport, the conference table. It's just a weird hodgepodge. It's not focused enough for me. That's my problem. It's got a business side to it with the conference table, but then you've got a piano, you've got a kind of a dance floor, you've got a hot tub, you got all this stuff in one area, bar. It's like I said, it took a bunch of things that they thought were cool and slick and threw them together and they just landed. There are aspects of the design I do like, but to your point, Execute, I've always complained about the fact that there's not a bathroom in the back. The VIP people have to come up where the crew is to go to the bathroom. The singular entrance is also another issue for me. And the crew and the passengers have to use that front entrance, which I know it would be a huge redesign on the Phoenix. But I would have given up to be honest with you, I would have given up the P-72 being in the back. I would have rather had that be the entrance area and you come in there. I would have rather lost that than because I'm not going to worry about using the P-72 to go out and fight somebody if I'm in this thing. So I would have lost that area. But this was also, though, their first step moving toward building out luxury. I'll give them a little bit of room for that. The 600 and the 890 and the rework on the final 890 this was the touchstone for kicking toward that, but they definitely need to rework this. They definitely need to rework
One
it.
final note: this is also the only content when you see it on Inside Thoughts Citizen. So that's another advantage I can say, and also proof that it's Chris Roberts' favorite ship. But yeah.
Can I ask what you guys think about actually spinning it off into its own ship, though, so it's not all, like hodgepodged in, like as you?
Yeah, I mean, RSI could have just done a fourth, not a fourth ship. This did not, to Jade's point, putting lipstick on a pig. This did not have to be a part of the Constellation series. They could have created their own separate luxury ship, RSI, and it probably would have been better. They were forced into using this design because of the Connie design, and that gave limitations for them too.
And also, it was an early ship, so that's why they wanted to put it into Constellation design instead of making it its own ship.
Yeah, they were I mean, look at what they did. They concepted a cargo ship, right? A gunship. Was a gunship, a cargo ship, and exploration ship, and a touring ship. Those were the concepts for what they did for it, all in one ship, right? Okay. Let's hit the next one here. Controversy a little bit, but my favorite commercial probably of all time. I think it's my favorite commercial of all time.
Is this the
It's been a long time since you've seen it.
It's got a name. It's not the Gambit. It's
Black screen is a long time though.
I was thinking of the Titanic and the guys playing the violins. Is it sinking?
What does it take to build a symphony? It takes a blueprint. 4 movements that will dictate key, tempo, and the arrangement of musical notes that will create harmonies, melodies. It takes an orchestra. Master technicians of their craft, working in perfect unity to transform notes into sound and those sounds into an experience. But most of all, it takes emotion. A feeling so powerful that it transcends words. It must be conveyed in another form. Introducing the new 600i from Origin. A symphony in motion. See your authorized Origin dealer for details.
Yeah, I have to give it to Pedro. The music's great. Let me go to FC first on this one.
Yeah, the flying bedpan itself. The external design doesn't speak to me, and it doesn't speak to a lot of people in the community. I mean, it does speak to those select few. I'm happy for you that it's great, but it's too clean on the inside for me. Like, and I know this is Origin, some people like it, and some people compare it like to Star Trek clean, but it's like I feel nervous just walking inside because I don't want to dirty up the floor. It's too clean for me, but that's one of the disadvantages for me anyway. 600i, I do own one. Like I said, I have it for cheaper than the Phoenix currently because it's CCU game and stuff like that. But for $425 or $475 for the other variant, it is quite a lot to ask for. But it makes people happy, and it makes you happy, Griff. So I'm happy for you. But for me, it's okay. Yes.
Yeah, I want to talk about happiness. Don't let me, when we get off of this, remind me to talk about happiness, okay? Execute, 600i.
Just like the other, it's the same origin things again. It's a sub-cap ship masquerading as a large ship. It's meant to be the Connie competitor, but it's a whole size class up above the Connie. They kind of go toe-to-toe in functionality a lot. You know, I know there's some perks of this one, like the extra guns are all on the pilot, stuff like that. But yeah, long story short, if you like the ship, then you like the ship, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to buy and do with your money. For me, like, you can get the same functionality in a much smaller ship at a much cheaper price point.
Yeah.
But again,
yeah. Okay. Thank you, GoMob, for that resub. Go ahead.
Sorry, I am looking really forward to the rework though. Yeah,
absolutely. GoMob, thank you so much for the resub, and Indoforo, thank you for that follow. We appreciate that. Tattoo Staff, I think I said earlier, thank you for the follow too. Jade, thoughts on the 600i?
Yeah, like you, when I saw this commercial, I was already like going to my computer. I was already like going to get my card and everything. So, it spoke to me, like the design of it. I remember looking at this and saying, this is a Star Citizen ship? Like, this is what I've been waiting for, was something that looked futuristic and clean. And I'm sorry, but in a universe where everywhere you go there's trash, I want my ship to be clean. All right, like literally, even in a city like New Babbage, there's trash all over the floor. Sometimes there's dirt on the wall. They even let Zenith put graffiti up, and it was there for a while. So I want my ship to be in a way.
Jade, you don't want to see the steam and the oil dripping down on your ship when you walk down.
No, okay, absolutely not. No, like, to me, you know, I know a lot of people, they want this like very, you know, dystopian future, and you know, I don't know why. I mean, you got enough dystopia in real life, but anyway, I want my ship to take me to another place, both spatially in the game and mentally when I'm in the game. I think Expat put it very well. You know, she said getting on, I think it was the 100i, or somebody will be happy, or maybe it was the 300i. But for me, getting on a 600i, even without the rework, I still smile when I go up that elevator because I look around and I see a clean ship that feels futuristic in Star Citizen, and that's something that's fairly rare.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write an email after this to CIG for next year's April Fools. It's got to be Origin.
It was. No, they already did it. They already did it. They already did it. The 404. They got us on the 404. Remember, that was April Fools.
That was too comical.
No, it was 404.
They need to do like a real one, like sleek lines and do all the close pan shots, and then it pulls back, and it's like a rubber ducky or something. I don't know.
My pros and cons, I got a lot of pros and cons on this, and I'm going to keep it out of the context of the rework because I think a lot of us are looking forward to the rework to see where CIG goes with this, because we saw a lot of promise in it. I'm one of those people that this ship didn't bother me. There was only one thing on the exploration, and we're going to talk about the touring version in a second versus the exploration version. What bothered me about it was I did not like the science stations where they were. I had a little difficulty because they were facing each other. They were also away from the command people on the front of the ship. So even though, you could talk, communicate, but I felt like if it's going to be a science vessel, let's have the crew so they can communicate with what they're seeing out those big, beautiful windows. Those two science stations lose out on visibility being in the back of the ship. The crew quarters on the ship, we know they're doing a rework on that. Thank God for this to be a luxury ship, but for the crew quarters to seem so open spaced and not privacy, that bothered me. The 890 got that right, where this one didn't get it right. The bar area, I like. That stuff is fine with me. Pool table, kitchen, all that stuff. No problem with it. But Jay touched on this earlier. In the touring version especially, even in the exploration version, when you get into the middle section of the ship that's above where the cargo area is on the exploration version, and where the spiral staircase is on the touring version, there should be windows down the side of that ship. They should be one ways that you can see space. The idea of exploring and seeing space is important. And the fact that that's not there in this ship, to me, is a huge deficit to it. Now, I know CIG is going to be doing some work, but I would have loved to have had some, even glass jade that, like, from the outside, you have, that's the other thing I don't like too. The main captain's bedroom on the ship in the front, the 4, that glass should be one way. The fact that it's a two-way glass drives me insane. because privacy for people who are wealthy is very important to them. So that should be all black from the outside, but from the inside, you should be able to look outside with no problem.
Or maybe mirrored from the outside.
Yeah, or even mirrored, but just so that you just can't see inside. And then lastly, I know Admiral Kusanagi mentioned this, that on the commercial, and yes, Admiral, even in the early concept work for this, there were no guns on the exterior of the ship. It wasn't until the ship came out that we saw that they had put those size 5s. I love the fact that they're those guns, but they need to be retractable just like they are in the 890 jump. The guns need to go inside of the ship, as Jade mentioned earlier. That's one of the things you pay for, is that those guns, that's part of the money. That's part of the value, to pay the extra money for the ships, that it has that aesthetics to it, you know.
I have one more quick thing on
yeah, I'll go after you then.
And this is also a problem on the 400i, is the window level in the back. Like, why does it have to be above my head? Like, doesn't it make sense to like have that window come down the eye level?
Yeah, you do have to literally look up to take advantage of it. Yeah,
and I hope with the rework they fix that.
Yeah. The 600, I mean the 890s. You know, when you go up in the area where the lobby atrium is, it's better there. But when you go back in the back of the 600, it drives me crazy. Go ahead, execute.
I do find it kind of weird that the exploring and touring out of game are opposite of what they are in game. So whichever one's more expensive out of game is actually cheaper in game, which I find really strange. And I think to your point about windows, I think that's across the board. I think we need more windows in all ships. You know, Crusade is a really good point. Like, they just don't have enough windows. You know, they took a lot of stuff out of the MSR as an example. So to have a skylight doesn't have one, things like that.
Yeah. I'm not going to run the sound for this. This is just the one that they did for the touring and the touring. I know. I'm just telling you what's on the screen. This is the touring commercial, so I'm just not going to run the audio so you can talk. So go ahead, Fastcart.
Oh, thank you. Griff, you said you wanted the one-way glass on the 609. I'm saying you're trying to add 10 years to the development of the game. When
right.
Like that.
No. I mean, they've got it on other ships. I mean, they've got it on the Phoenix. The Phoenix has those side windows on it. You can look out.
Yeah. You say one way. I'm talking about the one way.
There's one-way glass in the game. There's actually one way in the glass in the game. If you go to the captain's quarters on the Phoenix, that glass is one way. You have to really walk up to it to look inside that back area where the main master bedroom is. They just made it. It's just totally clear glass on this ship in the front. It's crazy. But go ahead.
But I do agree with y'all when it comes to exterior windows on the 600i. Like, this came out in 2017, so I don't see why they didn't add more windows to it. But they had like the glass floor, and is that the touring version? They had the glass floor.
Yep, that's what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, so it had that, but it's not enough. So yeah, I agree with y'all on that one.
Yeah. Let me go back to, I said you remind me about happiness. Let me tell you something, and this is me when it comes to this whole thing with luxury and touring, and I've shared this before with folk. The happiness in this is not about the functionality of it for me. The happiness in this is when my friends are all in here with me and I'm doing something with them. That's the payoff for me with this ship. I can't do that with certain other ships. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you can do it with Idris. You can put 20 people in there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when my friends come on this ship and they enjoy going to the bar, or when they sit in front of a monitor and watch something, or when they're sitting at the chairs and role playing out, whatever it is, that for me, and they're enjoying it. Maybe they don't own these ships, but they can come on board and enjoy them because maybe this isn't something they would buy. But I've never had anybody get on one of my luxury ships and say, ooh, I don't like this. Not once. They may not own one luxury ship, but when I'm transporting them somewhere, you better believe they go look out the windows, they go sit at the bar, you know, they hang out and talk about this, that, and the other. And for me, that's the thing that I'm willing to, my gameplay for these type of ships. And so that when we talk about what is luxury, Jade, you said this earlier, the social space that gets created. Now, that doesn't mean the social space doesn't happen on an Andromeda, but these ships are deliberately designed as social spaces, right? And so to be able to have room to walk around, to talk, to move around, to be able to look out windows, I don't worry about all that when I get on the Caterpillar. You know what I mean? I get on the Caterpillar to go do some work, to go do something. These ships, I think, create a different mind space for some players, you know, but that's just me, you know, when it comes to these ships. So that's the touring version that we just saw. Fastcart, thank you for pointing out the glass floor. I wish it was a little bit more than that, but that's all they gave us in this ship.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All righty, let's move on to the next one.
Area 18. 2949. Things were changing. You could feel it. And it was Gatsby, the center of it all.
How do you get on Gatsby's list?
Gatsby's it. The name.
Yeah, Togi.
Everybody's lips. You never knew where Gatsby might head off to next, but that was half the fun. No one dared sleep for fear of missing something incredible. In Gatsby's world, nothing was off limits. Unless you were trying to crash the party. No matter where Gatsby may be off to next, whatever mysterious port of call she's heading to, the next time I see her, won't be soon enough.
Okie dokie, I'm gonna mute that sound there and we can talk about the 890 jump. Execute, we're gonna start with you this time on this one.
I think for me, it's kind of similar to some older designs. That grand staircase, like I think it's a little bit cluttered in that area. It's almost like they built the ship and as they filled it up, they ran out of space. And they've got two grand staircases either side. We've got Zion Tech. Why didn't they just have floating stairs or something like that to give the more space in that area? It's not as luxury as I'd like it to feel. I do think it'll get the 600i treatment eventually, though. And you put up against something like the Banner Merch Man, and it starts to show its flaws pretty quickly. Unfortunately, for me. But yeah. It's the same thing with a lot of it. Like you have to be the one happy with the purchase.
Okay. Yeah. FC.
Yeah, I'm the wrong demographic for this ship. It's too big and too much for me. But the Phoenix or the 600i size is enough for me. So, but it's great to be on. But it's for fun for parties, but yeah, for personal use, probably not. But I'll be happy to go on someone else's ship. But I have to represent the views from the Homeboy Shopping Network. Be careful who you let aboard this ship, because they're going to be like, where the food at? And are the drinks in the bar free? Cool. So be careful who you let them on the ship. I'm fine, though. I'm cool.
I would just like to add, it does show a bit of that restaurant stuff though too. I should have added that. So that is leading to that commerce side of what I'm expecting to see for Origin down the track.
Yeah. Jade, 890 jump.
Yeah. So you said the 600i commercial was your favorite. The 890 jump commercial, because it really does show off that whole space Second Life aspect of the game that up until this this commercial came out, they really didn't show that in their ship ads, right? Like the whole fact that this was built to be a social space. This is not a daily driver. Nobody should view the ship in the same context as, oh, will I buy this ship and fly it all the time because it's going to be.
Can I put my tank on the hangar doors? Can I put my tank on the hangar doors and use it?
That's sacrilege. Yeah, no. Just because you can do something, as Lando said, doesn't mean you should do something, right? And I think there'll be better things to put those tanks on, like the whole seat maybe later on. I love the ship for the simple fact that if you've ever been on a party on one of these ships, if not even it being like role playing or whatever, but like Offie, Authentic Young has these great parties on her ship, called Offie's Adventures, and they're so fun, right? And people have a good time, and it brings together people in the community. I have one of these ships for my org for the same reason. It's like it's something to break you out of the day-to-day, let's do bunker missions, or let's do Jump Town or whatever. It's like something that takes you out of that. And then there's people who operate this like a cruise ship, the Experience. I'm sure you've heard of. And as we get more star systems, this ship is going to come into its own as a luxury touring vessel, super yacht, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. My feelings about
sorry, I was going to say it's the end tier of it as well. That's the thing. Like this is the antithesis of the origin thesis. It has to be the luxury, like the crown jewel, essentially.
Yeah. My thing with this ship is I'm wanting to see what the fruition of much of what's inside of it. Jay, to your point, when they showed the commercial, we saw glimpses of things, but what we don't know yet is if there will be game mechanic. And this is where it gets really tough when we buy these ships, because we're buying a lot of things or backing and supporting buying these ships with things that are inferred, but we don't know how they're going to turn out as far as gameplay goes. One of the things I loved about this ship, and Jade, you're familiar with the layout on this ship, is not only is there a place to eat, there's an actual dining room on this ship. I mean, like a room dedicated to eating that has a bar. Then there's a kitchen with a elevator with a waiter that goes down, and then there's a freezer, and there is an area for people to work in a kitchen. And my question becomes, that looks great, but is that actually going to be something that people can do? And I'm not saying, because listen, I know people who would be a cook on a ship if they thought that they could actually cook. And if there's some benefit to getting paid, if they maybe there's a thing that says when foods are made by players, the health quality is much better than if you just buy it out of a store, like regular life. If they create things that bring these areas of the ship to life, if the pool room is actually a place where people will go, not just because you open the door and see a pool table and, oh, that's cool, but now there's some dynamic of relaxation or something that helps if you play pool in the game. I want to see those rooms and areas on a ship like this have some type of meaning. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea that they're there, but I also want to see how a tier 0 of skill or health or rest or something happens in these ships that says, this is why people like getting on this. Not just because it's cool to walk around and it's pretty, but that hopefully that they'll build out some type of game. And I know that may take time. I'm willing to wait. If they're going to do it, I'm willing to see them build out something that makes the player who wants, just like the person who wants to be on the Genesis Starliner, if that person's working that machine to make drinks and that benefits them, I want to see those same type of things move into it. Because this ship has a lot of stuff. Jade, this ship's got engineering. It's got, I mean, there's so much stuff on here, but I don't want it to just be a place where you go when you got to go do the 890 jump rescue. You know what I mean? I really want to see stuff working here in this ship.
Yeah, with 68 rooms, there's a lot of potential gameplay.
God, 68 rooms.
One thing I will say, I think it's a great ship to watch the Daymar Rally on. Because,
it's fabulous.
Got invited by Yacht Club a few years back to watch the Daymar, and that was fun.
It was awesome. It was cool.
That's an advantage.
It was cool. But execute.
It's the only ship, again, the antithesis of the Origin design over defended. It's the only ship with a second bridge. Like, how stuffed does this ship have to be to actually require a second bridge?
Yeah.
But it's got it. Like they're getting you out of there. No, come hell or high water, you are safe. That's what they want.
Yeah. And again, we don't have the cheat sheet for what CIG has in mind for these ships. All we know, and I can say that about any manufacturer, not just Origin, not just RSI. I can see that there's so many ships that when we look at them, we can read the brochure, we can see the trailer, we can kind of see where they're going, but we don't know if that's definitely what the deal is going to be. And believe you me, this luxury thing is a high risk career. Because as we mentioned earlier, we don't have a lot of other games where that's been established to what that means. And CIG has not done some great white paper about what luxury is going to mean in this game, but we do know they have some intention. We do know that they're trying to deliver something. And I'm hoping that, as you mentioned, Execute, that the 890 becomes the pinnacle of that or at least for the Origin ships. And who knows whatever else may come out, and it doesn't have to be Origin. Maybe somebody else will create something else to be competitive. But I would love to see some type of some really good gameplay that goes along to make this ship it's worth it to me right now. But if it comes alive, those areas Jade talked about, those rooms start to come alive, then man, oh man, it's going to be well worth it at that point, you know. Anybody else got anything about the 890? And we're going to hit this last one because this one's going to be a big controversial, Jade.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
During the server meshing tests, with the high play counts, right? Like, this was a great ship to do that on because you could literally have part of the ship on one server, part of the ship on another, and you could have enough people in it that it really did feel like this.
That's interesting.
You just reminded me of something, Jay. Do you guys remember when it first came in and all the knives and forks and
I was just about to talk about that. Yeah.
And I'm like, the luxury level of this thing is still got to go up a bit small because when they put all that shit back in, it'll definitely feel a lot more luxurious. Absolutely.
So you guys will know what Execute's talking about is that when the 890 came into the PU or the PTU, when you went into the kitchen, that bottle of Jean-Luc that was on the bar, you could pick it up. All those champagne glasses, there was nothing glued down. And then when it went live, all those entities back then, there was no freaking way you could have all this stuff. So everything was glued. So we're like, oh, shoot, I can't pick up the wine glasses and stuff anymore. But it was awesome, Execute. Thanks for reminding us about that because it was cool.
We will get it back, though.
Oh,
we will get it back, though,
absolutely.
With, interior ship culling. And it's across the board. We're all going to get massive performance gains.
Exactly.
And a lot of the things on all ships will be a lot more interactive because of that.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, here begins one of the big controversial ones we're going to hit on before we wrap up.
The most luxurious ship in the game.
Oh boy! Jade, I got to get ready, Jade. Here we go.
Let's jump on in.
Okay.
Start with the
I'm going to cut the audio on this. Give me 1 second.
It's hidden weapons that come out from there for the pilot control.
Because we don't have to necessarily.
Dual docking columns, one on either side.
Yeah.
It's
all right, so let's talk about this one a little bit. Most of you guys are familiar with the Banu Merchantman, and obviously we've seen tremendous growth and change in the development of this ship. And again, we haven't seen this in its fullness, but we've seen enough of it to see where CIG is going with this ship. And the question is this luxury? And you know, for me, luxury can be a lot of different things. I think I opened up the show talking about luxury could be something as simple as attitude. It could be based upon value. It could be based upon the amenities. And sometimes just aesthetic design. Some people will think this. Some people think, a Corvette is luxurious. And some people will say, a Corvette is a piece of junk. And if you talk about a Ferrari, that's luxurious. People will have these different feelings about what's luxurious. But we decided to look at this one and talk about this because we know that the Banu are known for not just aesthetics, but the Banu look at bringing things in or things that are important to them based upon their overall value. And what I mean by that is it's going to be of highest quality, performance, functionality. They look at everything. So that's one of the reasons why this ship is out here right now that we're going to talk about it. So fastcart, I'm going to go to you first on this one because you're a big Banu fan. Give me your pros and cons. If you're gonna win me over as to why this should be luxury, what would you say?
Indubitably, my good sir, he passed the great Poupon.
Oh Lord!
It has an avant-garde feel. I'm sure it will receive numerous awards and accolades with no ambivalence. Insert more big words here. Oh, anyway. When you're over the conference room. For luxury, the conference room is mostly where it's at, in my opinion.
Okay.
We haven't seen like concept in gray box of the bridge, so I currently talk much there. But if you look at the concept for the conference room, that's where the big weird can come together, talk business, make deals, and I think that's a big reason why it should be in the luxury field, and at least for me.
Okay.
And some people may not like the sleeping arrangement, but that kind of has a luxury feel too. But it's alien, so it may not feel that way for a lot of people. But yeah, also that. But maybe that's can pick up on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just sent an image to Griffin that I'd like him to bring up if he could possibly bring it up. I don't know if you can.
I'm working on it right now.
Yeah. So what this actually is, me and Agra did an episode on this. This is actually a concept image from the 890 jump, and it was going to have shopping malls, and there were 3 shops, and I and Agra are kind of convinced that they rolled the Merchantman up to be this ship. and they ended up not making a module for the 890 jump, and it turned into the Banu Merchantman. Because if you actually look at the Merchantman and the 890 jump like next to each other, they are very comparable in size, and a lot of the stats are very, very, very similar. It's just that one's got shops and then the other's got the restaurant and the atrium and things like that. So I do find they're on par from a luxury standpoint. Where they do differ a little bit is obviously the Banu Merchantman also got the cargo and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to admit, that's pretty interesting to have an 890 jump with 3 shops, and we ended up getting 3 shops in a Banu Merchantman. Like that's kind of, you kind of can't not see that in a weird term of phrase.
Yes, definitely different.
Yeah, so it's definitely there's some kind of connection there, and the fact that the Banu Merchantman went from a $250 ship to what it's now $650, it's clearly on par. Well, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it's clearly grown way beyond its means. We've had another ship come along and replace the Banu Merchantman in the Raelian, which was the original blockade runner. For me, it's turned into something that it wasn't originally intended to be, and it's grown into an 890 jump essential competitor in a way. They do different roles, but the way I look at luxury, look, we were talking about different types of luxury at the start. That Persian feel, the incense, the draped curtains, the the Persian princess thing with the Maharaj and all that. That's a form of luxury too. It's just a more antique form of luxury, and I feel those themes through the Banu Merchantman. We know it's got big draped curtains on the entryway as you come in and things like that. It's Banu's spin on luxury, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, what he said, and plus I'll add, if you roll out the red carpet for when people enter, that'll be luxury.
Okay. Jade?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna pour cold water on this. I don't know anything in the world in this universe that has merchant in the name that considered luxury. I don't think a conference room is luxury. I think that's a workplace. And don't get me wrong, I own a Banu Merchantman, and I love the ship and what it's.
Sorry, isn't there a conference room in the 890 jump as well?
But that's not the only thing. It's not the only thing, though.
Right, that's not the only thing. Like for fastcart, the thing that made the ship luxurious was that conference room, right? And so,
and I said the sleeping the thing, but yeah, the other thing, but that could remind me about the entrance. I forgot about that, but yeah.
What about the special medical beds too? The sleeping in jelly.
I mean, that's because it's alien, right? So
well, it's the same thing. Merchantman isn't Merchantman our translation of the name though as well? It could be called the. And we would know what it meant,
Merchantman is our translation of the Banu, which means merchantman, basically. So it's a work ship. Its work is a flying shopping mall, right? And a place to show off high-end cargo to clients. I don't see either of those things as luxury. I see them as this is a place to make money. I feel like this is the opposite of the 890 jump. I feel like this is the ship that makes you money to run the 890 jump, to afford the 890 jump.
What if I put back in? What if I put back into the context though that we know that there's a lot of commerce ships coming from Origin? Because you can look at the style guide and see that it's halfway between high design and commerce. Well, so doesn't that mean that there are commerce like Banu Merchantman style ships coming from?
So I think you're reading way too much into that graph, because that doesn't mean that there are commerce ships coming for Origin. It just means that's where the design aesthetic and who they market towards in the universe, in the lore. Now, there's nothing in lore that I've read about there being Origin commerce ships. There's a military 600i in lore, but they haven't talked about.
Did you know that the original 600i was a cargo ship?
Yeah,
the original. Yeah. But here's the deal: we're not saying that Origin just produces luxury ships only. They can produce other stuff. They can produce commercial, industrial, or everything else. And I think that, and again, it's a fastcart. If fastcart feels that conference room makes it luxury for him, that's fine.
Hey.
No, I'm saying that's what you said. You said you felt the conference room helped make it toward luxury for you. I'll tell you why for me into Jade. Let me let Jade finish, because I'm going to go to Jade's route a little bit. So let me let Jade finish what she was going to say. What else were you going to say, Jade, about the Banu status?
I was pretty much finished.
Okay. I agree partially with Jade. Again, that's why I talked about the fact that the Banu don't look at aesthetics don't mean anything to them. Mm-hmm. Now, and what I mean by that is just one element of what means something to them. They're looking at, is this the best thing? And best can be for different people, different things. Best could be aesthetics, or best could be engine performance. They look at all of it. Best, best engineering, best weapons. I mean, they're going down the whole list. So for them, luxury is not the deal. If it happens to look good, and I'm sure if it's ugly, they'll take it if it works good. If it works well and it's the best, they could care less about aesthetics. Now, from a human standpoint, fastcart, the communal bedroom puts it out of luxury for me. That removes the luxury for me. Because I want the privacy and the dynamic of the uniqueness of it. When I'm sharing space like that in the sleeping area, and I'm saying the human side of me, mind you. Because
so there's no Griffin harem?
No, there's no Griffin harem. Yeah, but to execute's point, but to execute's
his wife Tesha Pacheco.
Hey, there you go. Right to interrupt it. Right, Jade knows what the deal is. Okay, but to execute's point, that design that they have in there, the very almost Arabian, or that look of design is very beautiful. Really, but the fact that they use the highest quality materials is the same thing we would talk about for the 890. The fact that they have found these materials that make it nice. The fact that it's got a big old cargo freight area, I agree with Jade 100%. That looks like work to me. But the fact that it has a display area for exotics and stuff makes it a very unique museum look. So to me, the ship has this way of swinging in either direction.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I think you've given a really great example of what I was talking about at the start, how luxury is an opinion. Because clearly me and Fastcart find this very luxurious, but because you guys are used to the other Origin stylings, well, that's what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You guys are used to, you like those Origin stylings.
Not just Origin.
Luxury.
Not just Origin. What we classify as luxury I know what you're saying in that direction, I'm
just trying to give an example, right? And so me and Fastcart, probably this luxury speaks to us just a little bit more than that does. And that's a good thing, because you want to have player choice. You want to have all those different luxuries and all those different things, so everyone can chop and change, and there's a little bit of something for everyone. And again, the customization thing, I would hope over time they allow us to do that with the Banu as well. Like we need more competitors in this luxury market. We've kind of got a little bit of RSI, a touch of Banu, and Origin is the big piece of the pie. But if you look at most other manufacturers, they do have cross overlay a lot more, and I'd even say I think we need a bit more Drake as well, like another low end kind of manufacturer. Like I don't know if you guys agree.
Let's talk a little bit about what you were talking about earlier.
Player choice is a good thing, Player choice is a good thing,
Let's talk about a little bit about the ship that you suggested earlier. You mentioned that there was a Drake ship that you were kind of curious about our thoughts on.
Well, yeah, the Tumbler, because that is touring by Drake, and I find it like it's just this complete juxtaposition to what I would have considered touring up into this point. And I kind of want to right? Yeah, the Rambler.
The Rambler.
Tumbler. Sorry, Tumbler. Sorry, my brain bipolar.
That's okay.
Okay. Because you can look at the Cutter and you can look at the Scout and you can kind of see where they're going with that. Then all of a sudden they add the Rambler, and it actually kind of loses functionality for this exploring touring thing. And I was like, that's an Origin thing. What have they done? But again, by the same token, I'm like, but if I was after that, wouldn't I go for the 100 or the 300 series? But then again, there must be someone out there that just really likes the Drake aesthetic, but they also want to do touring. So I can see why it exists. Like I can see, and I started to go, does that mean I could go touring in my Corsair? Does that mean I could go touring in my Kraken? And I started to think, like, there are going to be people that want to do that. I know that might not be anyone here, right? But I started to realize, like, that there is just places they haven't touched, as in, like, there are niches that we haven't seen yet. Is I think what I'm getting at. But like, can you see a place for the Rambler? Is the question.
I will say this. I agree with you 100% that everyone is going to see a ship. Like right now, we have people using ships to do stuff that they're not designed to do, but that's what they want to do with it, right? They'll look at it. I'm going to take the immortal words of JadeStarwatcher that the Rambler is definitely putting lipstick on a pig. for me. Okay. but if there is someone who enjoys the Drake aesthetic and they decide that's what they want to use that ship for, you know, it may not be the most luxurious, but if it allows them to find touring gameplay that they can do that, I ain't mad at them. You know, that's what works for them, you know. Just so you guys will know, the Banu Merchantman fastcart's smiling like crazy because we decided to in our group called Snobs, I decided to bring on board the Banu Merchantman as one of the ships that could be a part of it. But my reasoning was that if there was this, Jade hit on what the reasoning was. Jade said it. The reasoning was if there's any ship that we're going to use to make money, it's going to be this one. So that was the reason why he came in. She hit it right on the head. It is a tool for those of us who have great wealth. And so even our tools have to show wealth in them. So that's the reason why he adopted this ship into the fold. So
I think you'll be able to tell a little bit more about luxury and Banu too as more of their ships come online, because we've only got 2 of them. Right?
It's too hard to gauge.
You look outside the Banu Defender. That thing looks like a
it's beautiful.
Base with all the
absolutely. It's beautiful.
So there's something there that we haven't seen yet. I even think I'd like to see a Zion luxury ship too, because I think they'll do that they're the kind of they got the Chinese Asian influences,
right?
And they'll do some interesting luxury stuff as well. Because again, you've got different manufacturers like industrial and single seat aircraft, but we haven't seen a luxury from them either. So I think there's a lot of breadth over the years to get into ships that we just not even thinking of, not even contemplating.
And to your point,
I don't know. Like, given the lore of the Xi'an, I just don't see them being like really making a differentiation between luxury and something else.
Well, I was getting ready to go there, Jade, for a second. Let me give a shout out real quick. Maiden Ariana, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. We're about wrapping up in a few minutes, but we really appreciate you. Thank you, Maiden. Thank you to all of you who are here. We're Soul Citizens. We have our special guest Execute on with us today. We're talking about what's wrong with luxury, things that we both like and dislike about this idea of luxury in Star Citizen. And Ariana, we hope you had a great stream. We know you've been pushing toward the sponsorship. I don't know if you achieved it yet, but we're hoping, and hopefully we can keep throwing people at you too, so you can reach your sponsorship with Twitch. But we hope you had a good stream today. I was going to say this about the Banu piece and the Xi'an piece in particular too. It's difficult for me to balance out what luxury will be for them because, for example, when you mentioned the Gatak earlier, Execute, I remember when the Gatak came out, people were saying, "Oh man, look at this ship. It's so amazing. It's so luxurious." And the Gatak for them could be what the Drake is for us. Absolutely. It looks cool to us as humans, but that could be their normal looking ship. So to your point, I would love to see.
Luxury ships could have straw all over the floor. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, with these other races, and I think that's what Jade was saying for the Banu even. All I know about the Banu is this. Whatever they go for, it's top of the line across the board.
Yeah.
Functional, aesthetic, everything is top of the line for them in performance, and because they're big on the trade thing, and if they can get their hands on the best of what something is, quantum drive or whether it's a seat, that's what they look at. Other races will have to determine whether they're Tavaran, whoever, because as a human, I could see something and think technologically this is amazing, and they may be like, you ain't seen nothing yet. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to see how, as you mentioned, there's only a couple ships in some of these areas for us to start with. The Sayulan is not enough for me to gauge whether or not Gatak is going to have something fabulously beautiful, even though I can go in that ship and see all the reflective surfaces and everything is in the walls and it seems so cool. And to them, they're like, this is a freaking Volkswagen. What are you talking about? So we'll have to see what comes out over time. We are over time. Speaking of overtime, fastcart, I got to wrap up. We're 30 minutes over, so go ahead and say what you're going to say because I got to sign out.
Griffin Jade, I just want to say, you talk about lipstick on a pig. Miss Piggy would like to have a word with you after the show. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. So listen, we hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation today about luxury. As you can see, even though we often joke around and talk about how great luxury is, you can see that we do have our own sentiments and feelings about how things can be better. And we obviously want to see CIG develop these things out. There hasn't been any leanings toward it yet. We've had a lot of the other careers in the game where CIG has been putting in the work, but we also know that in time they will get to it. So the idea of touring, transport, luxury, socializing, and some of the people, Jade, you mentioned this earlier, people are already doing it, right? Even without CIG, once we have the tools, right? We've been doing it.
Yeah. Most definitely. Like, Maid Ariana, Expat, and we've all been on Authie's Adventures, 890 jump parties, and I highly recommend them if you ever get an invite. They're well worth it. They're
very, very cool. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for that. Real quick, we do have a couple questions in Q&A that we do need to hit. If I'm not mistaken, I think I saw a couple of questions in Q&A. We do, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We didn't clear this out. Mark that is complete. Mark that is complete. That was from yesterday. Okay, here's one. I got him if you want this is from I got him. This is from Captain Serious Fun. He says, is anything luxurious if it is common? Is exclusivity a part of luxury? Jade, let me let you comment on that, because we talked about that. All of our ships kind of look the same. What are your feelings about that right now?
Yeah, I do think that having something that's distinctive is part of luxury, right? And the fact that Origin ships do stick out as something different. They're not angular. They have a rounded, more I say futuristic, but I think it's more of a like minimalist, maybe aesthetic, which a lot of people associate with futurism. So yeah, I do think that is part of the reason that CIG went with that design language.
Yeah. And they, we were joking around about I know guys, the bedpan thing, right? But to Jade's point, that is one of the things that makes it distinctive, and that it does look different. It's recognizable no matter how you feel about it, no matter what. When you see that ship, people look at that and say, what is that? I've had people who come into the game for the first time, and because many of the designs in Star Citizen are familiar designs because they're based upon common aircraft that we have today. And when people see them, it's like, okay, that's a cool looking ship. Well, it's a fighter. Somebody sees the 600 and says, what is that? What is it exactly? People look at an 890 and think it's a boat, right? First thing that comes out of their mind, and think it's a boat. So the fact that there is some distinctiveness, I wish, as we mentioned earlier, that they do give us flexibility to do even more customization to our individual ships on the interior side. Something as simple as that piano versus that conference table in the 400 in the Phoenix is a place that they show that is capable to do that. Whether they'll do that in other areas, whether the art Jade was talking about earlier, taking the artwork out of the atrium and making it a dance floor, whether they'll give us that functionality later, will to Captain Serious Fun's question, create a more exclusive feel to what we're doing in the game. But we'll have to see if CIG goes that way.
One person bedpan is another person Mona Lisa. So,
oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Jade, please put a joke ban out for him, please.
One man's trash and another man's treasure. Isn't that how it goes?
That's his different version of it. Here's another question that comes in from New Soul Sounds. Which one is better, alien luxury or human luxury? I'm going to respond to that one. Again, as I said earlier, Pops, I would not dare to say which one is better, because to what an alien could look at a ship and think it is the greatest thing next to sliced bread, and we'll look at it and say that thing is horrible, because their view of what they think beauty is going to be related to them. Now, whether we accept it as beauty, not to be funny, right? But it's like when we see an alien and we say, ugh, they look at each other and don't go, ugh. So it's going to be a matter of, is it attractive to you? You may feel that the human aesthetics, because they're more familiar to you, are easier to embrace. Then again, if you're that person like Jade who says, I'm looking for something that's totally different, something outside the box, that may be something that you think is much more luxurious. So yeah, I think that's a very subjective thing, and you'll have the freedom to make that decision for yourself. Next question from Admiral. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's beyond the species now as well. It's not just a personal opinion. It's a species.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. Admiral Kusanagi, regarding luxury and choices, with how we have the interior choices of the 300i, what type of options would you like to see in the 890 Jumper BMM? I don't know. XQ, why don't you talk about that? Is there any other choices you'd like to see aesthetically on any ship, like they did with the 300? Is there anything that you want to see them give us flexibility to do?
I honestly would like to see a bit of modularity in the 890 jump. So like Jade was saying with the dance floor or the atrium, or you can turn it into almost like it's a stage where you can turn it into what you want. Wouldn't it be kind of cool if they used a bit of Zion tech and it could morph around? So you could go, it's tonight at 10.
Move the parts around or whatever.
Yeah, we're going up to the flight deck. In the Fifth Element where they go up so they could see stuff above.
Yeah.
So you go up and the roof opens and you can see the stars, and then during the day it turns down and it turns into a lounge, and everyone can sit down and kind of have coffee or tea and hang out. And then it's a different type. Like, again, it's an expensive ship. Why not have something expensive, luxurious, where that room changes and they've got Zion Tech. Why can't they pay a bit extra money and have floating stairs and stuff instead of being all cramped and things like that? Again, if it would save them having to redo the entire ship or vast quantities of it, if they could make that room, maybe that is part of the plan. I honestly don't know. We don't have a lot of that tech transferred over from or in yet.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I'm sure Drake owners would love the option of adding a toilet seat or a toilet to their ship. But other than that,
toilet seat.
I don't know. Comforts of home, pillows or blankets, stuff like that. They could add that. As far as like other devices, I have to think about that. But yeah, pillows and blankets are different colors. That would be nice.
Yeah.
So for me, this is a big one, and I disagree with Execute that this should be something limited only to luxury ships. I feel like there's a lot of clutter in a lot of these ships that a lot of people like to get rid of. I don't want those cigars in my 890 jump. I don't smoke cigars in real life. I don't want them on my ship, right? I would love for all that stuff at some point, like, the way the champagne glasses were before, to be movable. And to me, that would be the first step towards what you said, Execute, where you now are talking about modularity and
customization, like I said way back at the start. That's literally what I'm saying. So you can choose what is in your ships. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but don't you want that for like every ship, not just
I do, but it really is only really kind of been spoken. Well, I guess you can talk about the cockpit and stuff like that, but at length, it's only really ever been talking about in Origin ships, like redoing the interiors. You can choose what you have on the walls and stuff like that. They've never gone into that level of detail on anything else other than Origin.
Well,
but I don't disagree with you. I think it would be great to have it across the board.
Let me give you the distinction. The distinction is that the Origin ships come with their glasses. You can bring glasses on other ships. I've taken coffee cups and put them on my freaking Argo, but you got it right. But you got to bring yours on the other ships, which I think we're paying.
No, Griffin, I just come to yours and I take yours.
They're gonna take mine from it. Okay. What are you doing with my champagne glasses? I thought it was when you last got my ship. God, this question is a really good question. Go ahead, fastcart. Were you gonna say something?
I can go first.
I thought you just went a second ago. Go ahead. So you go second. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. No, as far as like Constellation Phoenix, I would love the option of changing that cockpit to make it more aesthetically pleasing for the Constellation, or just being able to change cockpits without among all the constellations. That'd be nice.
Well, that was the old modularity. It was supposed to be back that way back in the day. They were going to do modularity, but that's not on that level. I don't think it's going to happen. But who knows? Maybe they will one day. Jade, you were saying, I lost my track here about the BMM and the 890 jump. Okay, I'm going to let it go because it went out of my head just then. But yeah, I would like to see being able to do some customization inside the ships. I'm trying to think of what are those things that make the bang for the buck meaningful when we're talking about what Fastcart called the luxury tax earlier. Yeah, just the fact that there should be some things that distinguish these ships that when you come on them, they're exclusive because people have paid that extra, And again, like I said earlier.
Thought about what you were saying with the rooms. Like you go into certain rooms and you don't know what the functionality of that room is.
I know what it was.
Every room to be functional.
Right. I know what it was. And thank you for saying that because you just hit it on the head. When you go on the 890 and some of these ships, you'll see that they have TV monitors and things like that. So knowing that we'll be able to maybe watch news that's going on in the universe, right? Or information that pops up where on some other ships, they don't have that. Those little extra tweaks that make these ships important. If I want to look up what trading is going on in a certain system, can I bring that up on the monitor and I can see it in real time, right? Or is there some broadcast? Jade and them talked about being able to do music things or machinimas that people have produced or things. Can we bring those up in those ships? When I'm sitting in the 600i and my friends sit there and watch that on a monitor, I can't do that on a Caterpillar screen. Caterpillar screen's telling me what type of car goes downstairs. I'd like to see what type of flexibility that big screen, Jade, in the master bedroom of the 890,
Yes, absolutely.
So to me, I want to see that functionality come to life. And again, we mentioned that earlier.
It would be nice to watch Social Citizens on the big screen in the game. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. We're going to wrap this. I think that was all of our self-promotion. All right. That was all of our questions, guys. Thank you all so much. Let's talk about what we've got coming up within the next week. Yeah, let's talk about the next week's coming up. Fastcart, why don't you tell us everybody what's coming up this Thursday?
Thursday is Soul Talk, 9 p.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. UTC. That's where we talk about what's going on in Star Citizen this week. With the community, you get to come in Discord and talk with me and talk with us about what your thoughts about what's going on in the Star Citizen community. We cover ISC, Star Citizen Live, This Week in Star Citizen, the Sneak Peek, whole bunch of stuff to come and talk about. Come on in and talk with us about it.
Thank you. Jay, can you talk about Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday is Soul Voices, and that is where you in the community can talk on with Griff. And are the player haters going to be on?
No, not this week. No player haters this week.
Okay, but that's part of a thing called PodSat Saturday, along with the Astropub and our friends at Relay Station.
Yeah. Thank you. Next Sunday, which you don't see on the board because I didn't get time to do my artwork this week. Next week's show is going to be a show called Odd Jobs. What is Odd Jobs? Odd Jobs is going to be maybe some of the different careers and jobs and duties that people may take on in Star Citizen in the future. We just earlier were talking about the kitchen execute right in 890. Is anybody going to be down there cooking, right? Or somebody who may be
even the Raptor April Fools. Like, I actually think people are going to want to do.
Maybe we'll talk. There are people there. We just talked about this yesterday. There are people who seriously want to do house cleaning in the game. So we're going to talk about all those things. Engineering. I mean, we're on the cusp of seeing that start to come out. We want to talk about all the different things that you'll be able to do beyond just flying your ship around, or just beyond, doing combat or whatever it is you're doing in the game, or even touring. We want to talk about all the different roles that maybe you haven't thought about that might be very important when you want to, for example, man your Idris. Like, how many different people do you really need to have on that ship? What different roles will be there? So that's going to be what we're going to be talking about next week. So hopefully you guys will join us next Sunday as we talk about Odd Jobs here at 7 p.m. Eastern time next week.
Really important. Tonight we party like it was at 199. Next week it's going to be episode 200. So join us for that.
Thank you for reminding me, Fastcart. 200th episode of our Sunday show. Sunday shows are reading 200. You guys have been very helpful and supportive in getting us there, and we really appreciate you guys who've done that with us. Special shout out to Execute. Execute, tell people where they can find you.
Just youtube.com/InfoRunners.
InfoRunners. Tell them win.
Oh God. It's Monday for you guys, Tuesday in the Down Under, so Monday in the Up Over. We also do a stream on Saturday Down Under. It would be Friday New York time from 2 p.m. to about 5 p.m. on Friday for you guys. I think that covers it. And then, just on our Discord too, there's heaps of discussions on there about ships, and if you want helps with, ships or finding a ship for you, or tailoring stuff to your needs, things like that. And just heaps of discussion on there, as there is on most Star Citizen Discords, really. But yeah.
And over the next month, you guys make sure you tune into InfoRunners. We'll be coming up to Invictus. Those of you who are giving consideration to backing and supporting and finding that ship that you've been waiting on since IAE, these guys are the ones to check out. They'll tell you about value, content, quality, all that stuff when it comes to buying in the best way to basically build your fleet. So you guys, over the next month or so, as we're approaching Invictus, make sure you tune into InfoRunners so you can get some really good information to help you guys out there. Okay.
We're trying to help you get them for cheaper too, if we can. As well.
Absolutely. We want to give a special shout out once again to Expat Brett. Expat, it's great to see you. Thank you for sending your folks over, your loved ones, and thanks for hanging out with us. I saw a lot of your comments here tonight. Maiden Ariana, again, thank you so much as always for your support. We hope you're hitting that sponsorship goal that you've been going for. And to everyone who followed today, everyone who sent us bits, or if you subscribed, or if you just sat back quietly, and hopefully you enjoyed the conversation we had on luxury. We really appreciate you guys being here as always, supporting us here at Soul Citizens. Let's see, anything else special coming up? Nothing. Eva Cotty, we appreciate you guys, all the hard work you're doing. Thank you. We know that you guys are getting us closer and closer to 323. We are enjoying reading Eva Cotty notes legally, so we appreciate doing that. And again, we really appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing. We know 323 is on its way. We're going to get ready to do a raid.
Sure. Thanks for having me. say thanks for having me.
Happy to have you. Happy to have point and counterpoint. Always good to have.
Yeah.
We're going to send you guys over to the 5-star. We've never rated the 5-star before. He's only got 20 people on. So you all give some love over there. If you like what you see, follow. Let them know that you came over from the Soul Citizens. And hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Until then, as always, peace, love, and soul. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Ciao.